And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Crowther versus Moore. Step forward.
Shelby Crowther is suing her neighbor, 24-year-old Cody Moore, for vet bills. Shelby says Cody's 6-year-old son, Caden, threw her dog in the air and broke his leg.
According to your complaint, Miss Moore's little boy, this 6-year-old, was in your backyard where your dog was playing. He was invited over by your son, who is a couple of years older. How old are you?
8.
Stand up next to your mother. I have a few questions for you. Tell me your name.
My name's Cody.
Cody, do you know this little boy's name?
No.
What's your name?
Caden Moore. He does know my name.
Caden Moore.
Yeah, when we were at daycare.
Order.
Okay. Is he your neighbor?
Yes.
Remember that day when your dog got injured?
Say yes.
You remember? You have to answer my questions. Were you playing in the backyard?
Yes.
Did you invite him to come over in your backyard? No. Did you offer him a lollipop?
Yes, but I put it through the fence.
Did you offer him a lollipop?
Yes.
And did he take the lollipop?
Yes.
Did he come around in your backyard?
No.
He was never in your backyard?
Yes, but...
How did he get there?
Climbed the fence.
And what happened when he got there?
We started playing for a little, then he picked him up and threw him up in the air and broke his leg.
What did you say to him when he did that?
Nothing.
What did you do?
I picked up Gizmo.
And where did he go?
My mom told him to go back home.
And he did. And you took your dog Gizmo to the doctor?
Correct.
And he had a broken leg?
Right.
And you want Miss Moore to pay for the vet bills?
Correct.
I'm listening.
I did not become aware of the situation until she had come over to my house to let me know what was going on. I talked to my son, and he said that her son told him that if he'd climb the fence, that he would give him a sucker and they could play.
So he's over in the backyard?
Mm-hmm. And my son did say that he picked up the dog, that her son asked him to put the dog down, and my son did that. However, he did not throw her dog at all.
Well, how do you think the leg got broken?
I believe that he did drop her dog. A dog that weighs 4 pounds has a leg like a toothpick, so I'm sure it did break. That's, okay. I believe that.
So either way, whether he dropped him or threw him.
I offered to pay the bills. I gave her my cell phone number. I asked her to please call me when the dog was done so that I knew what was going on. She's my new neighbor. I just moved in.
So what was the problem?
The problem started when she tried to press criminal charges on my child.
No, what
That's actually
happened?
in the police report that I have with me. She had told the police a completely fabricated story. The police
Well,
came...
what did you do after the dog? You took the dog to the vet?
After I picked the dog up, went in the house, and immediately went over to her house. My husband held the dog for me. I went over to her house and explained to her what had happened. She told me that's not possible. Her son was in his bedroom, and that is not true. He was just in my backyard, and I told home.
Okay, well, maybe she didn't know that.
We went into the backyard. He wasn't in there, so he was in the garage. And she asked him, and he said yes, he did pick the dog up and drop the dog.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, you're going to be responsible for these vet bills. I said, I don't have the money. She looked at me and said, well, I'm a single mom, so maybe it's best to put the dog to sleep and I will buy you a new one. I immediately looked at her and said, that's not how this works. This is my dog. I mean, he's my baby. We're not going to put him to sleep.
Did you go over there, Miss Crowther, angry?
No, I did not raise my voice at her.
You don't have to raise your voice.
I was upset. I was bawling.
Okay.
I was upset.
Okay. I mean, I can imagine that you were upset, and I can imagine that you were not calm when you spoke to her. You may not have been screaming at her. You may not have been cursing at her. I don't know. But I assume, based upon just the way you phrased it to me today, that you did not go over there in a neighborly-like way.
Right.
Well, that was wrong. This is not something that's done maliciously.
Right.
So then you should have taken it down a notch. Right?
Right.
You owe her an apology.
I'm sorry if I upset you.
You should have taken it down a notch. She didn't do anything.
Right. I didn't become enraged until she told me to put my
just
dog
a second.
to sleep.
Enraged is a relative term. If you went over there and you say, gee, that was just a real bad accident, I think that your little boy was responsible for my dog's broken leg. Right. You know, I'm going to take the dog to the vet. You know, we're going to be able to handle this. That's one way of putting it. Another way of putting it is to go over there with screaming mimis on, you know, because your dog is injured. I got it. But I think, at least with her, you overreacted. She said she'd pay the vet bill. What's the vet bill?
Well, the problem is...
She said she'd pay the vet bill. What's the vet bill?
$364.25.
That's a hefty bill for her to pay, but if she said she would pay it, it's her responsibility, and she's going to take care of it. Did you call the police?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was informed that I had to have a police case number in order to file a civil claim in court.
Well, I don't know who's giving you legal advice. Certainly not any reputable person I know. You don't need a police report in order to file a small claims case.
I don't understand. If I said I would pay it, why she would have to file a small claims case.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
She was only going to pay the initial bill. She told me she would not pay to have the cast removed. She flat told me, I'm only going to pay the $299. And I says, what about the remaining cost? She told me, too bad, I've talked to an attorney and you're not getting any more than that.
Actually, she told me she wanted to take her dog to the vet weekly for the next 6 months, and she wanted me to pay for that.
The vet required that he come in every week to have the cast looked at so that it didn't get infected or anything happen.
The whole bill was $364.25. Judgment for the plaintiff, $364.25. When you have a new neighbor, you try to handle things reasonably. She seems like a nice lady. Now you're at odds with each other and you share a backyard. That's terrible. And you have two kids who'd probably play very nicely together. You know, they're two nice little boys. See if you can go have a cup of coffee together. It would probably be a very good idea. You're going to live there for a long time?
Plan to.
All right, so you got off to a bad start. See if you can make it better.
Okay.
You'll be happier. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She told me she was...
Matter of Harrington versus Badman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Harrington, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant were in a relationship and lived together for a period of time. When you moved in together, you took some of your stuff and put it in a storage unit. The storage unit was in Mr. Badman's name.
That's right.
And he paid for it.
No.
That's what he says. There came a time when the two of you parted company, a day that you will tell me about briefly, and it is your claim that he got rid of the stuff in your storage unit, which you wanted back. Mr. Badman acknowledges that he emptied the storage unit. Some of your stuff he gave to the Salvation Army. Some of your furniture he still has. And the reason he did that was that when you moved out, you took a substantial amount of property that did not belong to you, that belonged to him and to his daughter, and he has a counterclaim. How long did you live together?
He moved in with me in February of 2004. He had a dog, and I had a dog, and I was only allowed one dog at my apartment complex. Therefore, he moved into his own place, and about a few weeks after him living there, he begged me to move in, told me how much cheaper it would be.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
This is not a 1,000-page tome that we're going to do here. When did you move in together?
May of 2004.
And when did you put your property in storage?
The end of May, I believe.
The day she moved in. There wasn't room in my apartment for many of the things.
What did you put in storage?
I put living room furniture, dishes. My parents had started collecting teddy bears for me when I was a child. A futon, a bed, clothes, shoes, dresser, desk combination, a glass mirror, and my diploma, important tax information papers, all sorts of things.
And when did you separate?
July 25th, 2004.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding your moving out.
I had found out that he had been cheating on me with her. That is his baby's mother. We were going to court for custody of his child, me and him together, and I found out that he was cheating on me. I came home from work early, asked him, you know, why are you doing this? Can we please talk about this? He then shoved me into a dresser, and I dislocated my finger. The police then told him that he should leave the apartment for a few days while I got my things together. Within those 3 days, he came back and broke in his own door, busted the lock off, and I moved out the very next day because I wasn't safe living there with no lock on the door. I took the things that belonged to me, and only me. The only thing that I have of him are some pornography tapes that I did not bring with me because of the security on the airplane, and I didn't want them flashing about. They're kind of disgusting.
What'd you take them for?
They were actually in a box of movies of mine.
When did you try to get your property back?
Right after I moved out, I went to the storage unit to see. I had a key to it because my things were in it. I did pay for it, and he had changed the locks.
Now I'll hear you, sir.
When we did break up, it was because of accusing me of fooling around with her. We were just friends. We've always stayed friends because we have a child in common. So I didn't want to argue, so I left the home. She called the police. We went down there. She decided she didn't want to charge say anything because she told the police that I beat her up or whatever. So then we went to the police station.
You did. You broke my
anything. She did not file the report. Anything. She said.
Don't say anything when he's testifying. You know how quiet he was when you were telling me your story? I read your complaint very carefully. You came home and you wanted to talk to him. That's
Correct.
what you said in your complaint.
Correct.
He was sleeping.
No, he was up.
It says, I'm reading from your complaint, things were going terribly for us, and he was served with an eviction notice. On July 25th, not June, on July 25th, 2004, everything came to a head. We were in an argument. I came home from work to talk to Fred. He was sleeping, and I tried to get him to talk to me. That's what you said.
Okay, that's fine.
And when you want to talk to somebody and they're sleeping and they don't want to communicate with you, you get angry.
No, I was not angry.
You weren't angry.
No, I was not.
No, you weren't angry.
I was upset.
You were living with somebody. You think he was fooling around with the mother of his child. According to you, you came home. You found him sleeping. You went in there and he didn't want to talk to you. And so he broke your finger.
He did.
Miss Harrington, I have no question that your finger got broken. I don't think he broke it.
He wrote it in his report to the police. I actually have it.
Oh,
if
I'd
you'd
like to see that. He said he broke your finger. I'd like to see that.
Yes, it
I
does say that.
squeezed her hand. And that was after she went and punched the wall
It's
about 20
highlighted in
times, Your
yellow.
Honor. On the report, it says that there's no injuries to anybody. She didn't report any injuries to the police.
No,
right
there were
there.
none marked.
I just wanted her to leave me alone. April started to poke me on the right side of my body with her finger. I told her to leave me alone. She continued to poke me with her finger, saying, stop being a blank jerk and talk to me. You know, you live long enough, you could practically write the scenario. I want to talk to you. Leave me alone. I just want to sleep. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone. I want to talk to you. Then you say, I rolled over and grabbed her hand. I cannot remember which I had grabbed, but it was her bad hand, and she started crying. April asked me why I grabbed her like that, and I said, because you keep poking me.
I wasn't poking him. I really wanted to talk about it. I was very upset.
Listen to me. I got it. You just told me you weren't upset.
No,
listen to me. A moment ago, you said, I came home from work. I just wanted to talk. I wasn't upset. Listen to me, Miss Harrington.
Your Honor, I wasn't angry. I was very upset. I was crying, hurt. I was not angry.
Then what I'm telling you is, you upset, angry, whatever it was, you can't put your hands on somebody like this. And if they don't like it, which she said, you gave me the report. So you want to vouch for the truth of this report.
No, just
the part that you like.
No, that's not true. If
Just
you
the
read
part-
my
listen,
statement also.
I'm reading his statement.
Okay.
That's what you gave me.
If you keep reading it, he also pushed me in the face and kicked me off the bed. And
listen to me. He wanted you to leave him alone.
So it's okay if he kicks me. And
you shouldn't have put your hands on him. Okay. Miss Harrington, you put your hands on
I wasn't
somebody.
hurting him. I was.
Listen to me. You can't put your hands on somebody and continue to irritate them and expect them to do nothing.
That's fine.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in Edmond. Sold her belongings after she moved out. Fred is countersuing, claiming April also stole from him.
What property of hers did you give away to the Salvation Army?
Things I gave away of hers, I went and retrieved all the stuff from the storage unit because I didn't want to pay
What
anymore
month did you do that?
February 05, ma'am.
So you left it there for 6 months?
Many months I left it there.
She asked you for the stuff back.
I wanted my items back before I was going to give her anything. That's what I told her.
What items were they?
She took my entertainment stand, a bunch of movies.
Just a second. Entertainment stand. What does that look like, sir?
It's right here. And a tent. That's what I got pictures of. Entertainment stand, some movies.
Shh. Okay. I mean, this entertainment stand, did you put it together yourself?
Yes, I did.
You put it together yourself?
Yes. I bought it from an appliance store years ago.
$69, you put it all together?
No, it was $300. It's a large entertainment stand.
I'm looking at it, sir. I got it.
Okay.
Let us say she took the entertainment stand. And she took
the tent.
Did you take his tent?
No, I did not.
Did you take his entertainment stand?
He gave that to me because where he was moving had a big screen TV and he no longer needed it.
Big screen TV.
What else do you say she took of yours, sir?
She took my fishing tackle box, some PlayStation 1 video games. I don't know why she would have took my Jack, but Jack wasn't at my house no more. And she took my daughter's clothing and toys. Because when we were living together, we went out together, bought clothing and toys and many things for my daughter's birthday when she turned 1. And when she moved out, she figured I bought them, I'm taking them myself. So she took all the things that we bought together for my daughter.
All the things that she paid for?
Correct.
Good.
We paid
Listen to me. All the things that you paid for?
Correct.
listen to me, Miss Harrington. You may have paid for them, but once you make a gift, then they no longer belong to you.
Okay, I actually bought them because we were going to custody for the child.
I don't care. They were not, the clothes didn't fit you.
Correct.
The toys weren't for you to play with. And once you purchase something and give it away, the gift is complete. You no longer have ties to it. You cannot take it. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
So that was wrong.
I know that was wrong.
So why didn't you give them back?
I took them out of spite, actually, honestly, and I did not give them back because we didn't talk anymore after that. He no longer, he wouldn't give me my things out of the storage unit. And
did he ask you for his daughter's things
No, he
back?
never, he gave them to me willingly.
No, I don't believe that. Madam, you just said to me, that's a fib, because you just said to me, I took them out of spite.
Ma'am,
listen to me, you can't have it both ways.
I asked them for them back out of spite, yes, and he did give them to me willingly. I went to his new house.
Sounds to me like you
moved.
two people did a lot of nasty things to each other.
Very true.
But, Mr. Badman, you cannot dispose of her property.
I kept...
You can go to court and seek to recoup your $29.99 TV stand. Or, if you say your tent, which she says she doesn't have, that you can do. But you cannot give away her property.
I kept the important things, Your Honor. I kept all of her...
Oh, good. That's what I want to see. What important things that you kept?
I kept all of the furniture that she had, and I kept important documents like her taxes that she's been wanting.
Good.
And
I'd like to see all of those things, sir.
Her GED papers.
Perfect. Oh, this is going to be
Would you like my list also?
I'm speaking.
Okay.
It's all junk, Your Honor. Yes, I have
In your
all that.
house?
It's at my aunt's house.
It looks like it's in a barn.
It is. So I wasn't going to keep paying $85 a month for stuff.
You should have given it back to her.
I didn't want to do that when she's kept all my stuff.
You're a big baby, Mr. Badman. You're a baby.
All right.
Yeah, you're a baby. 5 days from today, she's going to pick up all of her property. It's to be put together in good order.
The place where my things are at, there are 13 cats, and the house itself and the barn itself is absolutely covered in feces
It's not true,
and
Your
urine.
Honor.
Miss Harrington, this is your choice. The property has been in Mr. Badman's possession now for over a year.
Correct.
You had a choice. Your choice was to immediately pursue him in court, just as you did now, a month later. Listen to me. A month later, and get your stuff.
He told me he sold it.
Well, then what brought you here a year later? Is not an answer.
He started leaving notes in my car, like trying to get in contact with me, so I went to see him, and he told me he sold them.
And I'm telling you, what you did was you waited for a year to pursue a matter in court, and now if you don't like the way the stuff has been, you're not going to get the cash for it. Okay. Now I want you to tell me what you gave to Salvation Army.
I gave 2 Rubbermaid bins of clothing that was all moldy and gross from sitting around forever. The little box of ceramic dishes that she had, a few of them items were broke, so I had to throw them in the garbage, and a little bag of teddy bears that were just junk, and that was it.
Mr. Badman, that junk is going to cost you $1,000.
For dishes?
They weren't broken when she left them, and the clothes weren't moldy when she left them, and the teddy bears were a collection of hers, and you had no right to dispose of them. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, what proof do you have that she took any of your property?
I don't really have proof of anything, because when I've broken up with girls before, I've dealt with them stealing like a couple things, and I just wanted to move on with my life.
You mean this has happened to you before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
A couple.
You're very unlucky in love. Are you together now with the mother of your child?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
You live together?
She's my fiance. We're just going to be married soon.
Oh, wonderful. So, did a little bit backwards,
my life
but
all straightened out, and everything's good, and just want to be with my child and get all this over with.
Very good. My complaint against Miss Harrington is a complaint that I can put on your shoulders as well, sir. You had a legal remedy, right?
I didn't choose to do anything.
You chose to do nothing.
Right.
And you have no proof that she took anything.
And she has no proof of what was in the storage unit either.
Listen to me.
Of the few items that she does have.
You just told me what it was that you, as far as I'm concerned, maliciously gave away, including something that she says was a teddy bear collection that she had for a very long time, and you said it was a bunch of junk teddy bears. It's not nice. That's irritating. You told me that she didn't. I wouldn't even look at her list. I asked you what you gave to Salvation Army. So your counterclaim's dismissed. 5 days from today, she's going to pick up all of her stuff. And you owe her $1,000 for the stuff that you gave away wrongfully. That's all. Step out.
Thank you very much.
How does that excuse you, mister?
She was fun. I made a mistake, and I didn't think of other things, anything else other than what was in my pants.
We've been friends for 5 years. We've been together 4.5 years. We're getting married. He never cheated. He never cheated on her.
Don't get involved with people with the last.
That's case number 265 on the calendar in the matter of Roth versus Judy.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Roth, it is your claim that you were at a party, the defendant was at a party, he moved your car, and he did so without asking you, and he dented it. The defendant says that it was you who were drunk, moved your own car, and dented it yourself. That's your defense, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was this party at your house?
Yes, it was, ma'am.
How many people did you have at the party?
20, 25.
How old are you?
I'm 20, going on 22, 21 right now.
Well, hopefully if I let you, you'll be 22. Right now you're 21. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my witness here and another person.
So you have 2 roommates?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in construction.
What night of the week was this?
I think it was a Friday night or, yeah, Friday night.
Okay. And did you know Miss Roth before your party?
Yes, I did.
All right, Miss Roth, were you present when the defendant got into your car?
No, I was not. I was inside.
Who was?
My witness, Tita, was in the car.
Tell me your name.
Tita Chewin.
Miss Chewin, did you know the defendant prior to this evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was there drinking at the party?
Yes.
Any drugs at the party?
No.
None that you saw?
Not that I saw.
But drinking?
Yes.
All right, tell me what happened with the car.
We went outside to...
Who's we?
The 3 of us. We went outside to grab CDs, and it was a summer night, so we had tank tops on and skirts, and we wanted to grab shirts to put over. So we went out to the car. She grabbed her CDs. I grabbed my shirt. I put it on. She went back inside the house, and she left the keys for me. So I was in the passenger seat getting ready to leave, and he claims the truck in front of him needed to be moved. So he hopped in, and I told him, Monica.
Okay. He said that the car that you were in had to be moved?
Yes.
Okay.
The car was on accessories, but it wasn't. The engine wasn't on. He started it, and...
Don't speak.
He started it and slammed on the gas without even looking behind him. And before he started the car, I told him, Monica would not want you driving her car. It's brand new. She doesn't even let us drive her car. I've known her since elementary school. We're really close. And he just slammed on the gas without even looking behind him, and I told him, don't you want to look behind you? And next thing I know, there's a big crash, and he jumps out of the car.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he just jumped out.
Did he put the car in park and jump out? Did he turn it
Oh,
off?
he pulled it up really quick so she wouldn't know, and then jumped out of the car.
So first he went backwards.
Yep, and then he pulled it up.
So he changed gears.
Yes.
I just want you to go step by step with me. So let's go step by step. First, it was in reverse.
Yep, and he slammed on the gas, hit the car, was like startled, and then he pulled it up back to where she had been parked, so it looked like her car wasn't moved, and hopped out of the car really quick.
And didn't say anything to you?
No.
So what did you do?
I was in shock, and then she came in, ran up to the window because she was across the street.
Tell me your name.
Keely Hartman.
Ms. Hartman, did you witness this?
I just heard a crash. I didn't see it actually happen.
But you heard the sound?
I heard the sound.
Did you see the defendant?
I saw someone running away from the car, and that's when I ran over immediately because I saw it was Monica's car.
But you didn't see who it was?
I didn't.
Didn't see a face, or you didn't see whether it was a man, woman?
I saw a shadow running from the car.
Okay. Did the defendant say anything to you when you went back inside?
I peeked inside the window of the driver's side door, and I saw her in the passenger seat, and I looked and I saw nobody in the driver's seat, and I go, where's Monica? And she just said she's in the house. That's when I looked over and I saw Justin crouching over by the bumper, and he said to me, don't tell her it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable. And that's when I ran inside and grabbed Monica.
Okay, so he said to you, don't tell her it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable.
Yes.
How long have you known the defendant?
A couple years.
Have had any problem with him?
No.
You like him?
Do I like him?
Yeah, I mean like him as a person. He's okay, isn't he?
Yeah.
What about you?
Before this incident, I thought he was great.
Thought he was great. Never had any problem with
Nope.
him. Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you.
Yes. It's your turn. Did you get a turn?
All those girls are lying.
Stop!
They were-
Listen to me. Listen to me very, very carefully, sir. I make a judgment as to who's lying.
Okay.
You have the opportunity, if you wish, to explain to me your version of the events that evening.
Okay.
I assume you brought this gentleman because he has something to contribute to this case.
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Your name is?
James.
James, you have a last name.
Johnson.
How old are you?
22.
Do you have parents?
Yes.
Do they like you?
Sometimes.
I want you to think about them when making a decision to testify, James.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear.
Okay, in my defense. July 9th, we were having these girls showed up to my house intoxicated, had parked her car behind a truck of my friend's, asked her to move it. She moved it, backed into the car that was behind her, which was the black one.
And you saw all this?
Yeah, I was out in the street telling everybody was about ready to leave. The whole part, you know.
And
you
you saw all of this?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Go ahead.
I was in the street talking to a bunch of friends, and you know, that happened, that transpired. And then she decided to leave belligerently, circle the block, and then come back, screaming, raving, whatever. She was intoxicated and all that stuff.
So you had a party at your house. Did you serve alcohol,
No,
or did the
not to
people
them.
bring out? Shh. Did you serve alcohol, or did the people bring alcohol?
They brought their own.
You just provided the site.
Yes, I just presided the area for people to party. But everybody at my house was 21, minus these 3 girls.
You mean I just happened to be fortunate enough to pick the 3 girls who were underage at your house?
Yes, ma'am. But they were intoxicated before they showed up to my house.
You want to speak?
Sure.
Who do you live with?
Justin, Judy, and another roommate.
So you live together. And how long have you lived together?
For about 1.5 years.
You know these 3 girls?
I know them from being at my house that night. I'd never even known them before.
What time did the party start?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
When did you start drinking?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
What time did these girls arrive?
I'm not totally sure on that. I actually did not see them arrive. I didn't see them arrive. I didn't know they were there until well after they were there.
And what time was that?
Between 10 and 11 o'clock.
So the party was only going on for an hour?
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
I'm not sure. It was.
How many beers did you have between 9 and 10 o'clock?
Couple.
Couple could be 2 or 5.
Between 2 and 5.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
You work for the same place?
No. I install windows in residential housing. He seals driveways.
Seals them. Doesn't steal them. He seals them.
Yes.
So now, I want you to tell me what you saw.
Okay, I was...
No!
Sorry. I was at the party, and I was walking out.
What time?
It was late. I don't know.
Give me an idea.
Probably between 12 and 1.
Okay, so between 12 and 1. So let's say between 9 and 10 you had between 2 and 5 beers.
Yes.
And I would assume that once you had between 2 and 5, you lost track.
Nah, I didn't finish my 12-pack.
How much was left over?
2 or 3.
So maybe you had 10 beers.
Yeah, probably.
So now tell me what happened after midnight.
Well, after I came outside, I had seen Monica get in the car, back up, and bump into the other car. And it wasn't that big of an accident, so nobody really made a big deal out of it. And I seen her get out of the car, have a little conversation with him, and then I seen her get back in the car and drive away. It didn't happen all that quick, but that's the sum of it. Yes.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like a jerk?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have phone calls.
Former friend Justin Judy backed her car into another vehicle. Justin claims it was a drunken Monica who was behind the wheel.
Let me see the estimate on the car, please. And picture of the car?
Yep.
What kind of a car did he hit?
Cougar.
It was a black car, that's all.
Cougar?
I'm pretty sure it was a Mercury Cougar.
You know who it belonged to?
It was this kid, Jeremy. And he didn't even tell him that he hit his car.
But did you tell him?
He came out, and I think Keely or someone told him. I wasn't.
Who told the Cougar that his car got hit? Anybody?
I didn't. Well,
Nobody told him.
Shh.
I don't think I didn't tell him. He heard from the people inside that someone's car had been hit, so he ran outside and saw that it was his car and was furious with Justin.
Is the Cougar man a friend of yours?
Yes, he's a very good friend of mine, actually.
How come he's not here?
He's...
How come he's not here?
working.
Is he overseas? Is he fighting in the military?
No. He couldn't
Huh?
make it.
Couldn't make it.
No.
Too bad for you. He's a very good friend of yours. seemed to me a very good friend. Instead of bringing this one over here, I certainly would have brought the person whose car... I'm speaking. I would have brought the person whose car was hit to testify that they know that it wasn't you who hit their car, it was somebody else who hit their car. Put your hand down.
He's the only one that saw it, though. The guy who owned the car did not see
You see how
anything.
many witnesses they have here, too? See what you have on your side? Stop shaking your foot. It's making me nervous.
The guy whose car that she hit was not around and did not see it, did not know it happened until later in the night.
Your Honor, I have phone calls from Justin saying he will pay me the money and that he's so sorry that he did it, and he is doing everything he can to get me my money, and he just wants to pay cash and he doesn't want to go to court.
You have them here?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I'd like to
I
hear
can
that.
call my voicemail.
Oh, sure, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, please. It's her phone. She's gonna. There's two of them.
Ooh, I love to be right.
You've pressed an incorrect key. To disconnect, press 1. To record your message, press 2. Saw you were having trouble. Please try again.
It's okay.
Can I try one more time?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I have all the time in the world.
Sorry.
Oh, just a sec. Before you do that, before we connect, you want to say anything else to me, Justin?
Like what?
Like I may have made that
I did that
phone
to
call?
help her out because it was not my property.
I'm speaking. Is there anything else that you want to say to me before we try to connect with this phone call?
I've said what I've had to say.
All right.
You've got my defense statement, so I'm sticking with that. That's what it is.
Go.
First saved message sent Friday, August 20 a.m.
Monica, it's Justin. I got your text message. I'm not trying to avoid you. I've been busy working a lot. We're really busy right now. Plus, I have another job. I'm trying to work as much as possible to get you your money. I do want to work something out. I don't want to take this shit to court. I'm not trying to avoid you. So, I don't know. I got to work till midnight tonight. Give me a call whenever.
And
I have one more.
Resave. Next message sent Friday, August 5th at 9:11 p.m.
Monica, I'm calling you again because I'm trying to set up some sort of payment plan with you because I've been working a lot. I have 2 jobs. And yeah, so call me back and let me know what's up. I don't want to take the court. I'd rather pay you in cash and get it dealt with. Call me back.
End of.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $967.53. That is for the repair on the car, damage to the vehicle. If I could add another couple of thousand to that for just being 2 wise guys, I would. You're an embarrassment, and you're an embarrassment to yourself and your parents. That's all.
How does that excuse? You may step out.
Wow. They were drunk. I mean...
Folks, have a seat.
Could you step up? You, sir. Tell me your first name.
Alexis Sumlin.
How old are you, Alexis?
14.
And you, young man?
Mike Torres.
Mike. How old are you, Mike?
16.
Alexis, you and Mike and some other friends, according to what I can put together from this complaint, were sort of hanging out together. Somehow, the defendant got his hands on a BB gun.
Yes, ma'am.
And that gun went off.
Yes, ma'am.
And shot you in the eye.
Yes.
You're suing for $5,000, which includes pain and suffering. And because of the position of the BB, it was not removed yet. You're going to have some additional surgery.
Yes.
Ms. Duran says that this was an accident.
Yes.
And her son has really suffered enough because he had some previous problems with the law, and this incident with the BB gun violated probation or something like that. He's going to explain that to me. Right, Mike?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mike, you want to tell me how it came about that you shot Alexis with this BB gun?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was out playing together?
It was my little brother, her cousin, her, and her brother.
Older or younger?
They're younger. I was the oldest one in the group.
So you were the oldest one of the group, and then there was Alexis. She was the next oldest.
Yes.
Because then there were just some young kids. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where were you playing?
We was playing behind my boyfriend's mom's house.
Your mother's boyfriend's mother's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
and we were shooting birds.
Who was shooting birds?
Me, her cousin, and her little brother.
Her cousin? How old's her cousin?
I don't really know.
How old is your cousin?
10.
And little brother?
13.
Okay. So you were shooting birds along with these two little boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Were the birds doing anything to you?
No, ma'am.
Why were you shooting them?
Yeah, just for fun.
Shh. Wasn't any fun for the birds, right?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get the BB gun from?
Mine, I had a long time ago, and the ones that they had, I don't know who gave it.
Oh, how many of them had BB guns?
It was 3 BB guns. They had 2, and I only had 1.
Your son has a BB gun?
No, he doesn't.
How many BB guns were there?
My brother, my cousin, and Mikey, all 3.
Did you ever see a BB gun in your house?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long had the BB gun been in your house?
Ever since my cousin came down to live with us.
Miss Murray, you saw a BB gun in your house?
I've seen one, but my son said he got it from kids in the neighborhood.
I don't care where he got it from. Not a smart thing to keep in your house.
No, I don't allow it either. I told him to
Well,
take
you
it
did
back.
allow it because they were playing with it.
Yeah, and I advised him to go take it back to his friend where he got it from.
Well, he didn't listen to you.
Evidently, no.
So I want you to tell me now, Mike, how it came about that you shot Alexis in the eye.
Well, it was like, we was coming from behind the house, and we were standing right there, like, beside the house. So then I had the gun, like, I was holding it. She probably thought I was aiming her. I know she grabbed my arm and it fired. No, if the gun fired.
Did you grab his arm?
No, ma'am.
No, she didn't. You made that up as you went along. It's not even in your answer. Nobody grabbed your arm. Don't throw baloney at me. You understand me? How many judges have you appeared before?
1.
Were you afraid of that judge?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I guarantee you, however bad that judge was, multiply it by 10 times. We understand each other, Mike?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't throw the baloney at me. So nobody put their hand on you, because that's not what you told your mother. That's not what you told me in the answer. Let's start again. You were holding the gun and
then...
Look at me.
I was...
Look at me. You were holding the gun and...
I shot her.
Right. What did you do when you shot her?
You know, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And, you know, she was bleeding a lot, and I took her inside my mom's boyfriend's mother's house. I was like, you know, clean all that off. My sister gave her some tissues, so we cleaned it off. Took her to the bathroom, she cleaned it off too. You know, blood everywhere. After she was done cleaning it up, you know, I took her home.
Who did you see when you took her home?
It was her mother, I guess.
What did you tell her mother about what happened?
I didn't tell her nothing.
Did you discuss with Alexis telling a story other than what actually happened?
Yes, I did.
When did you have that conversation with her?
While we was walking home.
And what did you tell Alexis that you wanted her to tell her mother?
I mean, at first I was like, you know, just say, if you want to, you can say whatever, you can say the truth. And then she had told me, like, I don't want you to get locked up again. And so I was like, you know.
Just a second. First you said to her, I think we'll tell the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then you said to him, no, I don't want you to get locked up again.
No, ma'am.
No. What did you say to him, Alexis?
First he said that he was going to give us money, $400. Then he said he'll give us his probation officer.
Just a second. He was going to give you $400 for what?
For shooting me.
Did he say anything about the $400 being in exchange for you telling a different story?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, that's better than what I read. Who made up the story about falling on a stick?
My brother, my cousin, and him.
And when did they make up this story?
Walking to my house.
When you went home, is that the story you told your mother?
No, I told her that he shot me.
Because it would have been pretty stupid if you may have said you fell on a stick. Nobody would have known to look for a BB. Now, Miss Duran, you're his mother. I read your answer very clearly. You want to explain to me why you think you are not responsible for the Murray's medical bills?
I never said I'm not responsible.
Well, you said it in your answer. You said your son suffered enough, so to explain to me how he suffered.
I know it was an accident.
I asked you how he suffered. You said he suffered enough.
I don't really understand that question.
Well, let's see what you wrote here. You said it was an unfortunate accident. Kids play, and sometimes they do things that they don't understand the consequences of. My son was already on probation, and because of this incident, they put him back in boot camp for probation violation. My child has paid for what happened, and the plaintiff is not getting a dime from us. That's what you wrote. Shh, that's what you wrote.
When he told me what happened, he told me the truth. They told me they was playing. And when Mrs. Murray went to my house, she showed me her daughter bleeding. And I don't understand how she took so long for call the ambulance to go to the doctor, because she was bleeding a lot and she was crying because she has pain. I don't really understand how her mom going to my house, like, I don't know how far from my house.
I don't get your answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you didn't have...
14-year-old Alexis Sumlin says her former friend, 16-year-old Mike Torres, shot her in the eye with a BB gun. Mike says it was an accident.
Okay, what?
I can explain what she's trying to say.
Yes.
What she's trying to say is, like, well, what kind of mother is she? Like, taking her time, going to my house while my mom was over there and her daughter's in pain, bleeding and crying, while she could just go to the doctor first and then go explain to my mom
So
what
you're
happened.
questioning her maternal instincts?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. After you took your daughter to the emergency room, what was done to your daughter's eye?
She had a CAT scan done, and they diluted her eye. But prior to that, I did call the ambulance and the police before I went there.
Now, you were on probation for what, Mike?
For running away and just, like, disorderly conduct, for not going to school.
So your mother filed a case against you? Or
Yes.
the Board of Education? Your mother or the Board of Education?
The Board of Education, they said they was going to do it, but my mom had already done it, so they ain't really worried
So
about
your
it.
mother filed a petition saying that you were incorrigible, that she couldn't handle you, that you weren't doing the right thing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see this BB gun in your house?
No.
Did you know it was there?
No, I didn't know he had one.
Where did you hide it?
I had it on my clothes and stuff. I had it between my clothes.
Why did you have it between your clothes?
So nobody could see it.
Because you were hiding it.
Yes, ma'am. I was like,
Who were you hiding it from?
my mom.
You were hiding it from your mother because it was the wrong thing to have.
Yes, ma'am.
Because sometimes with BB guns, accidents happen. Your mother wouldn't have wanted you to have a BB gun. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
But see, I only had the BB gun. I didn't have no pellets, no BBs and CO2s. You know, I didn't have nothing. Who gave me the CO2s? It was her cousin and her brother.
Listen to me, sir. If you didn't have the BB gun that you kept hidden in your house and they gave you the pellets, and if you put them in your mouth and spit them out, first of all, there would be a few less dead birds, and she wouldn't have a BB in her eye. You got it. How long did you go away to boot camp for?
65 days.
Did you like it?
No, ma'am.
You want to go back?
No, ma'am.
I suggest you do the right thing.
I am doing the right thing.
Perfect. Now, who bought the pellets for the pellet gun?
I'm not for sure. I didn't know anything.
You did not?
No, I did not buy any
Step up.
pellets.
Where'd you get the pellets for the BB gun? Look at me.
My cousin TJ had already had a BB gun. It was like a silver and black one. It was like you cock it back and then you push it in, and he already had BBs from it.
Where was the BB gun you had?
He had gave me some.
You can't buy BBs yourself, can you? Some adult has to buy them, right?
No, his mom's boyfriend husband had bought them for him.
Another idiot. All right, Mike. I hope you learned your lesson, but I don't think you paid enough. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a shock to me.
Versus McGlynn. Step forward.
21-year-old child care provider Amy Helsher is suing former client, 20-year-old Heather McGlynn, for breaking their contract. Heather says Amy is a negligent caregiver.
Miss Helsher, how old are you?
21.
You run a daycare center?
Yes, ma'am.
For how many children?
I'm licensed for 10 with 2 children under the age of 2.
Who works in your daycare center?
Just myself.
And 10 children?
I don't have 10. Right now I currently watch 5 with my 2 children.
7 children. How old are they?
2 3-year-olds and a 9-month-old, a 4-month-old, and then my 2 children.
And how old are your 2 children?
19 months and 4 months.
And who is this?
My husband.
It is your complaint that Miss McGlenn, who had a child in your daycare, took her child out of daycare without giving you 2 weeks' notice.
Right.
She has what appears to me to be a very good reason why she wouldn't give you 2 weeks' notice. In addition to the 2 weeks' notice, you claim that her child caused some damage while in your daycare.
Yes.
And you want her to pay the damage to the daycare. You also want her to pay late fees for not giving you the 2 weeks' notice. I'm absolutely amazed that you're here. Because according to what I read, Miss Holscher?
Yes.
Her baby, who's how old?
2 years old.
2 years old. The property that the baby damaged was some sort of a disc?
A computer disc.
That the baby put in a paper shredder.
Yes.
A paper shredder that was exposed so that the 2-year-old could get it while nobody was watching him. Okay, why don't you tell me how a 2-year-old can come in contact with a paper shredder that would shred a heavy piece of plastic?
It got stuck in the paper shredder. The computer disc was on top of the computer that's in my living room where they watch cartoons while I cook lunch, so I have them all under control.
You don't have them all under control. You don't have 7 children under control all by yourself. What state do you live in?
Missouri.
Anybody out there in Missouri? A 21-year-old lady doesn't watch 7 children, and possibly 12. There is something wrong in the state of Missouri. Don't you realize that her child could have lost a hand?
Fingers do not fit in the paper shredder. We have tried. Nothing fits in it.
How have you tried?
Nothing fits in it. There's a slot that's like a centimeter thick. It's not even wide at all. And the CD could not have came out because my husband had to use tools to get it out of the paper shredder.
You are responsible for anything that happens in your house.
Yes, ma'am.
While you are in control of these children, not their parents. You take on the responsibility of these children while you are watching them, while they are in your care for money. The idea that you would sue her for the $15 disc that her 2-year-old destroyed while you were in the kitchen not supervising adequately these 7 children is outrageous. Don't you get that? Do you understand that?
Yes.
What would prompt you to sue her for that disc when it is totally your responsibility that this child destroyed property and could have hurt himself? And I guarantee you, they're very inventive, these little children. Places where you never think they're going to be able to fit a finger, they fit a finger. You know, children lose fingers and hands on escalators. You figure, how do they do that? They do it. They're uncanny. That's why you don't take on the responsibility of 7 children. You're in the kitchen cooking. Somebody has to be in the living room watching the 7 children. I'm also amazed at you, Miss McGlenn, for leaving your baby there for another 4 weeks after this incident happened. You want to explain why to me?
Well, the first incident was the paper shredder. And at that point, I had opened up my eyes and I was paying more attention to what was going on because I'm a single mother. You know, I'm a working mother, and I didn't have anyone else to care for my child. I was trying to find another situation for my son that I felt he was safe in.
How did you arrange to modify your schedule?
I got a different job. I started working a different shift, and I didn't need a babysitter.
Who takes care of him?
My boyfriend.
Boyfriend. How long has this been a boyfriend?
About 1.5 years.
Not the baby's father?
No.
Not happy about that? Just, you the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not crazy about boyfriends watching babies.
Well, it was while he was sleepy.
I don't care if he was out at the prom. I'm not crazy about boyfriends watching babies.
I understand.
Lots of bad things have happened. Your boyfriend may be a really nice guy. I don't know. But you thought that this situation was okay too, right?
No.
When you put your baby there, you thought it was okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Turned out not to be okay. You got lucky once. Sometimes it doesn't happen twice. In any event, while I'm at it, since this is not the first 2 weeks notice case that I got from daycare centers, I'm going to tell you that this is one area, if I were a state government, I would not permit the 2 weeks notice requirement to be put in any daycare situation for the following reason. I'm just throwing this out for general information because I have an extra 30 seconds. Once I removed a child from daycare for cause, I wouldn't want to say, well, I'm going to leave him in here for another 2 weeks because that's what the contract says, that I have to leave him here for another 2 weeks and then worry that he's going to be either neglected or abused or somebody's not going to watch carefully enough because he's a child that's on its way out. I think that if you're moving and you give plenty of notice and say, listen, I'm moving, fine. But if there's cause for you removing your child from a daycare, I think that that 2-week requirement should be absolutely stricken from every daycare contract that's written, especially ones that are state subsidized. Ms. Holscher, you don't have a case. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Heather never...
Ma'am, have a seat, please.
All right, Mr. Siebold, you and the defendant had a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint. The defendant became pregnant. According to you, you leased an apartment in your name.
Your Honor.
You moved in together. She had her baby. You didn't get along.
Correct.
You subsequently ascertained that this baby was not yours. You took a paternity test.
Right, Your Honor.
And you separated.
We actually separated before the paternity test.
So you separated, and then you took the paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you told her when you moved out that you wanted her to move out too, because
Right, Your Honor.
you didn't want to be responsible for the rent anymore. She did not. She stayed in the apartment for several months. Is that right?
Yeah, about 2 months.
You want her to pay that 2 months' rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in addition, you claim that you left some property at the house. You want that property.
I would like that back, yes.
Ms. Deeden says she doesn't have your property. You knew that you didn't have to leave the house, that you could have stayed there with your family, that you knew that there was a possibility that this baby wasn't yours all along, so that she didn't fool you. Is that true, by the way?
That is, I knew there was a small chance that the baby was not mine.
How small a chance?
I assume there's a very small chance, but obviously not that small.
Just curious. Why did you assume that there was a chance that the child wasn't yours?
Because I found out that she had cheated on me with one of my best friends. After I found that out, and then we started talking a couple months later, and we tried to patch things back up, and then we found out she was pregnant.
How come you didn't have a paternity test immediately?
I was just trying to forget the incident of the cheating and the separation, trying to work back towards our relationship, and any reminder that was sort of painful for me. I was just trying to get back on with our lives.
How old are you, Mr. Siebold?
I am 22 years old.
How old are you, Ms. Deeden?
18.
Shh. Please. How old is your baby?
My daughter is 14 months old.
Does the child's father pay child support?
No, he does not.
Why not?
At the time of conceiving my daughter, I was not dating Daniel. I was in a relationship with the father. Upon becoming pregnant, upon knowing I was pregnant, I should say, because I did not find out right away. I found out after I was 10 weeks along. Daniel and I had started dating at that time when I...
Could you answer my question? I mean, I'm not interested in from the year of the flood. I just want to know how
No,
come
he does
the
not.
father doesn't pay child support for the child.
He signed his rights over to Daniel Siebold.
You mean he terminated his parental rights?
Yes, he did.
With a lawyer?
I don't believe so. It was between him and I and 2 witnesses, and then notarized and sitting in his courthouse, so...
It means nothing.
That's good to know. Thank you. I was not of knowledge.
Well, I'm telling you, unless he's been advised of his right to counsel, child has to have an attorney as well before somebody can give up their rights. He's giving up his rights to somebody else who's not the father. Ridiculous. Correct. Your child has the right to be supported by 2 parents. And before somebody can give up their parental rights, there are certain rules and regulations that have to be followed. And you can't just wake up one morning, give yourself a good scratch on the rear end and say, I think I'm going to give up my rights and my responsibility as a father. How old is this other character?
22 as well.
Okay. Now, she stayed in the apartment for 2 months after you moved out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you expect her to go?
I assumed she'd either go to her parents' house, where we actually moved from, because they were kind enough to let me stay there when we found out she was pregnant. I told her upon leaving that I wanted to move back into the apartment, so I was asking her to leave, but I didn't want to see our daughter out. I wanted to keep a roof over her head, and I told her she could either stay there and pay rent, or I asked her kindly to move out.
How long was your lease?
The lease was a year lease.
And how many months did you actually live there?
I lived there from July to December, so that's 7 months.
Did you move back into the apartment?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Well, are they suing you for the entire remainder of the lease?
I'm not quite sure exactly what they're suing me on.
Well, why don't you let me take a look, since I don't think you understand legal documents very well.
I do not have a copy of how much. I spoke with the representative, Stacy, and she told me...
I'm not interested in what Stacy told you, sir. That's hearsay.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Mr. Siebold, you're 22 years old. What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at Walgreens. I'm a photo specialist.
How high of an education did you have?
I graduated high school.
One of the things you have to have when you come to court is evidence.
Right, yeah.
If you're dealing with a managing company, the managing company will tell you and will be more than happy to memorialize in a writing how much money they are claiming you owe them.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of the person to send me the fax.
So what do you want me to do, Mr. Siebold? What do you want me to do?
I obviously don't expect you to go and do my research for me.
You're absolutely right. I feel sorry for you because they probably will come after you not only for the 2 months that she lived there, but probably for the remainder of the lease if they haven't rented the apartment. You can't come to court and expect me to get your proof for you. You understand?
Yeah, I understand, Your Honor.
Good. What property did you leave there, Mr. Siebold?
I left my laptop computer.
Where is his computer?
That's exactly why I brought my mother. The computer is not in my possession. Upon Daniel leaving, he took just a duffel bag with some clothes. He did come back to the apartment at one time where an altercation occurred between him and I.
About what?
He came to the apartment with his girlfriend.
Oh, that's not... Why did you do that?
She was my ride. I didn't want to go alone.
Nobody else could drive you there except a new girlfriend?
Unfortunately, yes. I had moved... Sorry.
Tacky. Right?
Yeah, not
That's
the
pretty
best choice. I discovered later on, yeah.
Tacky.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Don't mess around with me.
No,
You'll be very...
Says ex-girlfriend Amanda Deaton lied to him, claiming he was the father of her baby. He is suing for unpaid rent and the return of his PlayStation and computer.
Okay. Laptop computer, sir. When you leave, it seems to me that's one of the first things you take with you was a laptop computer. Why didn't you take it with you the first time?
I was being a nice guy, and Amanda had asked me to keep it there so she can go online and apply for some jobs.
I have my own laptop computer.
Which doesn't have the capability to go online through a landline. It's only capable of going through DSL, and we did not have that service.
So where's his computer? Don't look down at the floor. Just listen to me. So far, you're not losing, but don't lie.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. My parents are in possession of the PlayStation and the computer.
Oh, fine, so that they can return it to him.
The reason that they have it is there's a large amount of money that Daniel owes my parents.
Just a second. What does Daniel owe your parents money for?
My daughter's christening that he had said he was prepared to pay for the day of the christening. After the guests had left the christening party, my parents had to pay because he was not prepared to.
What else?
My parents paid rent in November, but it was actually December. It was November's rent they paid because we were behind.
What else?
I don't even know, honestly.
Listen to me very carefully. You can stand up next to your daughter. Mr. Siebold may be a 22-year-old idiot, but I'm not. You expect him to pay for a christening for a child that's not his?
He agreed to pay for the christening.
Look, listen to me. Shh.
He planned...
Listen to me. This is your daughter.
Right.
This is your grandchild.
Oh, yeah.
You pay for the christening.
Sure.
You cannot keep his computer. You cannot keep his PlayStation. You cannot keep any of his property. Do I make myself clear?
Sure.
Good. Your daughter lived in an apartment, and if you helped out with rent for a month, you helped your daughter, right?
Sure.
Perfect. So, PlayStation and computer. What else, Mr. Siebold?
There was
Don't leave yet. Are you living with your parents, by the way?
No, I am not.
Who are you living with?
My grandmother.
How come?
Due to a situation between my parents and I.
What kind of situation?
There are problems with my teenage brother and myself that I'm old enough to not need to live there, and my brother is a minor, so he needs to stay at his parents. So I have taken my daughter, and I am at my grandmother's.
That computer better be returned to him, as well as the PlayStation, in perfect condition.
They were not in perfect condition when taken.
Exactly the same way as they were when they were taken.
Absolutely.
Don't mess around with me.
No,
You'll be
he can
very
have them all.
unhappy if you mess around with me.
I believe you.
What else?
There was a RCA 19-inch television set.
Where's the TV?
The TV was taken out of the apartment by Daniel and was taken to wherever he was at that time.
That is true. I was debating on whether or not I should try to put this in the case. I stayed at some friend's house, and when I moved out, there were some skirmishes between us and them, and he told me that he gave it back to Amanda.
You cannot tell me what anybody told you.
I apologize, Your Honor.
You get back your computer and your PlayStation.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's a 22-year-old man need a PlayStation for? What do you do with it?
I use it for entertainment, for relaxation.
He doesn't work. He lived at our house for a year and never paid a penny. He doesn't have a car. He didn't have a job. When he had a job, he took her car.
So?
So we supported him. That's why he had a lot of time to play PlayStation.
How old are you?
40.
How old was he, 20?
Yeah.
He was 20. So he's staying home, sharing a room with your daughter, playing his PlayStation. You're supporting them. Is that right?
Yes.
That doesn't make you too smart.
No.
Believe
Right,
me.
but that's what you chose to do.
Right.
He doesn't owe you money for that.
No, he doesn't.
Right.
Gratitude would be nice.
Did you get gratitude from your daughter?
More than him.
Not enough, right, Miss Deaton?
Oh, not enough, not right now, no.
Right. I assume so. We won't go there because this is only a half-hour program. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is for your security deposit back.
Correct.
You used your high school money, $1,000 for security deposit.
Correct.
How long did you live in the apartment?
Till January.
Were you working?
I was working from October to January, yes.
How much were you earning?
Not a lot. I was very part-time.
Okay,
Daniel
you were
was
very
working
part-time.
too.
So who was paying the rent?
Daniel and my parents.
Well, your parents paid 1 month. That's what you told me about 5 minutes ago.
Correct.
The rest of the 5 months, Daniel paid, right?
Correct. Correct. However, the security deposit paid for July and August. So Daniel paid September, October, and $100 of December.
How could, just a second, how could your security deposit pay for the first 2 months?
Because of Daniel's credit, we had to pay a double security deposit.
Fine, and how many months did you live there? 2.
Correct.
Good.
Daniel Seabolt says ex-girlfriend Amanda Deaton lied to him, claiming he was the father of her baby. He is suing for unpaid rent and the return of his PlayStation and computer.
Okay, Miss Deaton, you lived there for a couple of months after he moved out. You had a choice. You could have moved back to your parents. You're a teenager with a baby. You chose to stay there. You ate up your security deposit. You don't get it back. You do get back your PlayStation, your computer. 5 days, 9 a.m. Be there or be square. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a very big...
Versus Francis. Step forward.
Felicia Hammond is suing her neighbor, 22-year-old Ashley Francis, for damage to her car. Felicia says Ashley's son, 7-year-old Derek, scratched her bumper when he crashed his bike.
Miss Hammond, how long have you and Miss Francis been neighbors?
Approximately a year.
You have children?
No.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
How many children do you have?
1. Derek.
Cute. It is your claim, Miss Hammond, that this adorable little boy fell off his bike and scratched the bumper of your car.
Yes.
You want his mother to pay for that scratch.
Yes.
Can I see the picture of the scratch?
Yes.
You're talking about this little scratch right here.
Yes.
Does it have any other scratches on it?
No, ma'am.
So, tell me what happened.
On January 1st, 2005, I was looking out of my bedroom window. Derek was riding his bicycle in the middle of the street. He ran into my car. His front wheel of his bicycle hit my passenger back wheel. And the way the bike fell, I guess the pedal of his bike must have scratched my bumper. I immediately went outside to check the damages, and that's when I noticed the scratch on my bumper. I went back in the house, contacted the police.
That's one of the things in your complaint that I didn't understand. Why did you call the police?
For a police report.
Why?
Just in case she didn't want to pay, just for my evidence.
Well, instead of going over to Miss Francis first, before you call the police, I mean, that wouldn't have been my first reaction. I mean, it might have been my first reaction if a big boy came up to your car and took a rock and scratched it. I mean, that's vandalism. This wasn't vandalism. This was an accident.
It was an accident, yes.
So I don't understand your overreaction in calling the police.
Well, I wouldn't consider it an overreaction, but that was just...
well, you may not consider it an overreaction. But I'm telling you it was an overreaction.
Okay, well, that's what I did, and then after that, I went over and talked to his mother.
What did you say to her when you went over
I
there?
told her that her son was riding his bicycle. He fell off the bicycle, and his bicycle damaged my bumper.
Did you tell her you would call the police?
I told her I called the police.
What was her reaction when you told her you called the police?
She just said, okay, we'll wait till they get here, and we'll take it from there. And she told me that she would pay me for the damages.
Is that the conversation you had?
Well, first of all, he fell off his bike. He came home to me, and his leg was all scraped up, and he was crying. 2 minutes later, I got a knock on the door, and she was telling me, your son hit my car with his bike. I saw him hit my car with his bike. You will pay for it. I told her right now I'm not in a position to pay for anything. Me and my mother had talked, and she asked, did I see it happen? Did Derek remember if it happened? Derek just remembered he fell off the bike.
Derek remembered he fell off the bike and hurt himself.
Right.
Let us say, Miss Francis, that Derek fell off of his bike and scratched the bumper of her car.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's what
I'm telling you that's what happened.
Okay, well, there was also several kids that always play in that neighborhood.
Don't make excuses. Derek fell off of his bike. She saw him fall off the bike at the exact same moment. He came home crying that he had fallen off his bike. He scraped his leg. It all fits. I don't care how many other people were around the car or around the neighborhood or around the planet.
Okay.
He didn't mean it. It was an accident. Unfortunately, Miss Hammond was not a good neighbor.
And the way that she...
I'm telling you, Miss Hammond, you were not a good neighbor. And if you had had little children, the first call wouldn't have been to the police to file a police report.
Okay,
The first call would have been to Miss Francis to say, your little boy just fell, is he okay? That would have been the first call. He fell and he scratched my car. Do you get it?
I get it, but I didn't know that he had damaged his leg.
Yes. Just a second, of course. Well, that's the question you ask.
He got back...
I want quiet. The question that you ask is, I saw Derek fall off his bike. Is he okay?
Well, when he fell, he got back on the bike and he rode off.
So he wasn't an extremist, which means he's okay.
He was, yeah.
As it happened, he hurt himself. Scratched leg, scratched bumper. How old are you?
7. He just turned 7 September 16th.
So he's thinking 7. Okay? Your car is 10. He's 7.
Yes.
Scratched leg, scratched bumper. You got it?
Yes.
All right. You have an estimate for the damage?
ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. Is that about right, Bert? $300 to fix it?
Guess so.
$376 to be exact. You have to have a perfect bumper.
But can't they just paint the scratch? Because when we
Bumpers
scratch...
aren't. I'm told that they're made out of a different material, that you can't use touch-up paint. Is that right?
That's right.
Otherwise, believe me, $9.95 she would have gotten a little touch-up paint and touch it up, but you can't do that with a bumper. I know. Somebody just did it to my bumper. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $376. Okay.
Thank you,
Be a
Your
good
Honor.
neighbor.
Wow.
Goes much further. That's all.
Bodies are excused when they step out.
I just thought it was...
Is suing her ex-fiancé, 20-year-old parking attendant David Sellers, for a cell phone bill. David says he let Ashley keep the engagement ring.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Weiss versus Sellers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Weiss, you and Mr. Sellers were engaged to be married. You are no longer engaged. You are no longer involved. You claim he owes you some money.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers says he owes you absolutely nothing. And if you think he owes you some money, sell the engagement ring. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you become engaged?
In December of 2004.
Just in my own curiosity, when did you buy her the ring?
In December.
What kind of a ring did you buy her?
Engagement ring.
Cheap one.
Well, let me see it.
You want to see it?
Wearing it, I wouldn't.
Little ring.
What?
Can I have a tissue, please?
Why, who's chewing gum? Both of them?
You gonna give me a piece of tissue or what? Thank you. You got gum? No. Cool. All right. Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, that's a very sweet ring. Tell me about when he gave you the ring.
He proposed to me on Christmas and asked me to marry him. He just said, will you marry me? And just gave me the ring.
He handed you the box?
Yes.
When you opened it up, were you excited? Is not an answer.
No, I was not. I was hesitant and felt uncomfortable since he did it in front of his family. And I felt like I didn't have a choice of whether to say. Felt pressured to marry him.
Well, did you wear the ring on New Year's Eve?
I did.
Were you still with his family?
Yes.
Did you wear the ring until you broke up?
I took it off once I got home.
When did you get home?
I think it was January 4th.
When did you break up?
A couple weeks after. He wanted me to move with him to Oklahoma, drop out of school, and start a family with him, and work part-time for the rest of my life. And I decided that wasn't
That wouldn't have been very smart.
Yeah.
Mr. Sellers, for her to do that. How much did you pay for this ring?
$750.
You know he's entitled to the ring back, don't you?
Yes. He told me, I asked him, and he said I could keep it. But I think it's only fair if I give him his ring back, I get my money that he owes me.
Well, is that right?
Yes.
Hey! Look at this happy ending.
I know.
Well, so that would be wonderful, right?
would,
You wouldn't
yeah.
mind if you got back the ring and let's say you could sell it.
Mm-hmm.
She's claiming a loan, $300 loan because you went to Oklahoma. Is that where you live?
Yes.
It's her claim that this was a loan that she gave you to go to Oklahoma so that you could buy clothes and traveling expenses and that sort of thing. And you said, well, you went together. You both spent money.
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
He didn't spend any money?
No, he got kicked out of the Navy, so therefore he had no money because he was broke.
Well, where did he get the money for the ring?
That's from his old checks, like his previous checks, and he stopped getting paid once he got kicked out.
When did you get kicked out of the Navy?
December of '04.
How come?
Drug use.
Went AWOL.
Didn't like the Navy anymore?
Dishonorable.
Okay. Would you kindly give him back the ring? Now you have the ring. And you can sell it, right?
Yes.
Now, telephone.
Yes.
Let me hear about the telephone.
He didn't have any money. He said he needed a phone. I bought him a brand new phone. He said, I promise I will pay you back. I will pay for the bills once I get my feet on the ground and start getting a job in Oklahoma.
Did you get your feet on the ground?
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I had a part-time job.
So he never got his act together.
He did actually pay the bills for the first couple of months.
And he canceled the service.
Yes, he changed, which also added a deactivation fee because he had to switch. He switched the telephone company.
How old are you, Miss Weiss?
19.
Who is this gentleman?
This is my father, and that's my classmate, Lorenzo.
I want you to consider yourself very, very fortunate. Because, you know, you could have actually moved to Oklahoma.
I know.
Working part-time, raising a whole mess of kids, no education. Got to look up and say, thank you, God. You were watching over me. All it cost you was a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you pay your own phone bill?
For a couple months.
What happened?
Well, I lost
Well
my
is not an
job.
answer, Mr. Sellers.
I lost my job and I couldn't pay for it, and I tried to pay half of it because it was up to $300, and I paid $150 of it. So I just never got around to pay the rest of it.
Well, you think that that's right, or you agreed to pay for it? Hmm?
It's not right.
Now you got the ring. You're going to sell the ring. How much do you owe her for the phone bill that you didn't pay?
I'm not really sure how much exactly.
Well, she's going to tell me.
$500.
What?
Over $500.
Really? Let
Yes.
me see.
I don't have the bills. I know.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
You filed a complaint in which you say that you loaned him $300 that he used for these travel necessities, which I'm discounting. Put
Okay.
your hand down, sir. You can't help her. She's
Sorry,
got
Your
into
Honor.
this mess by herself. She's got to get out of it by herself. Maybe she'll learn a good lesson if she gets out of it by herself. So, you have to get the bills. You don't have the bills. How am I supposed to know? He doesn't know what the phone bill is, and you don't know what the phone bill is. That's the first thing that you know. You come to court, and you're supposed to have evidence. If you don't have evidence, I can't help you. Now, you changed phone carriers.
Yes.
Do you know that there's a penalty for that?
No, I did not know that.
He knew.
What was the fee for disconnecting the service?
$175.
Does that sound about right, Bert?
Sounds about right to me.
And I assume, again, you do not have any proof of that. What did you come here with other than your smile?
I don't know.
I don't understand. I really don't understand, Miss Weiss. You want to say something, sir? You're dying to say something, so stand up. I mean, you are the responsible person. You're the person who's been through life, who has certain life experiences. You know when you come to court, you come with?
Evidence, Your Honor.
So?
We attempted to get a copy of the phone bill because of the other party lived in Oklahoma. The phone bill came to Oklahoma and never came to our house in San Diego. There was a $405 balance on the phone and a $175 cancellation fee that Verizon's coming after us for. And we feel that the other party should pay for the phone because he used it.
I absolutely agree with you,
But
sir.
we don't have evidence.
It's the evidence. Now, how much do you believe you owe her on the telephone bill? I'm trying to be as fair to you, Miss Weiss, as I can. You're young, not too swift. How much do you think you owe, Mr. Sellers?
All of it.
How much?
600 and however much.
She didn't say it was $600, Mr. Sellers. I mean, it's absolutely impossible for me to fly blind. You said the phone bill was $500. He said, I owe all of it, $600. I mean, stupid. It just changed. Take the ring out of your pocket. You put it in the other pocket. Dig deeper. Bird, would you give her back the ring, please? Just changed my mind. Now, Miss Weiss, this is what you're going to do. He got taken when he spent $700 for that ring, but there's no question in my mind that you could probably sell it for $3. So sell the ring. I'm going to give you $250 in addition to the cost of this phone bill. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that fair, sir?
Yes.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's broke, no education, no job. Basically, what was there good about it?
Step forward, please.
28-year-old hairdresser Lori Whitmer is suing her ex-boyfriend, ambulance builder Dewan Griffin, for loans to pay his court fines and to reinstate his driver's license.
Miss Whitmer, it is your claim that Mr. Griffin owes you some money for court-related matters.
That is correct.
Mr. Griffin says that everything that you ever gave him, they were gifts.
Gifts.
Gave him, and there were no loans. There was never any intention to repay you, nor an agreement to repay you. When did you meet him?
December 2003 through some friends of mine at a party that we were having.
And when did you make the first loan?
Well, we were seeing each other up until September of 2004. We were still talking, you know, on an on-off basis, and then I got a call.
So you were casually seeing each other? You never lived together? There was never any discussion of marriage? It was just a casual relationship?
Yes.
Okay. September 2004.
I had gotten a call. He was locked up in jail.
For what?
For driving without a license.
You were locked up for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you locked up?
5 months.
Shh. Please. Mr. Griffin, that's impossible, sir.
It's not impossible. That's why I was there.
Well, why don't you tell me the story of how you got locked up for 5 months for driving without a license?
Well, I had warrants for tickets that I hadn't paid.
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. So you had outstanding warrants for what kinds of tickets?
Driving without a license.
How many, please? I don't want to have to say it again. Don't make my job any more difficult. How many times were you stopped for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Maybe 3, 4.
You don't learn?
Yeah, I do learn. I have a driver's license now since I got out.
Well, how old were you the first time you got stopped for driving without a license?
19.
And why didn't you have a license?
Because they were suspended.
What was the reason your license was suspended?
Because I had a speeding ticket that I didn't pay.
All right. You see how we're going to get to this? You see how we're understanding each other now, Mr. Griffin? So you didn't spend 5 months in jail because you were stopped for driving with a suspended license, because they don't do that in this country. They do it, sir, if you get caught 5, 6, 7 times driving without a license, and you've got outstanding warrants for speeding tickets which you didn't pay, and outstanding warrants for the other driving while suspended that you didn't respond to, then eventually the criminal justice system has it up to here with you. And that's what happened, right?
Right.
Good. So you were an habitual person who flaunted the criminal justice system by not showing up, by not paying your fines, and by continuing to drive without a license.
I wasn't habitual.
Habitual means that you do it all the time, sir, and habitual is what you were.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children?
Ex-boyfriend Dewan Griffin owes for loans to pay court fines after his 6th arrest for driving on a suspended license.
Now, how much did you put up for him to get out of jail?
$947.
That was bail?
No, he was in a work release base, so they were taking money out weekly towards those fines, and then this was towards like a one lump sum so that he can get his license back and to get out sooner.
Okay, now I want you to think back when you went to court, because you were picked up on warrants periodically, is that right?
I have been before.
And you remember going before the judge?
Yes.
And you remember telling the judge that you were going to come back to court, you weren't going to warrant anymore, right?
Yeah.
And you remember telling the judge that you wouldn't drive anymore with a suspended license?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times did you tell that to judges when they picked you up?
Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times.
So each time you told that to the judge that you were going to report to court, and that was a lie, because you didn't, because you had warrants, right?
Right.
And you said that you would not drive with a suspended license. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you continued to drive with a suspended license, right?
Yep.
So you lied to the judge.
Yeah.
And when you lied to the judge, Mr. Griffin, you had previously raised your right hand and sworn to tell the truth. Is that right?
Right.
But you didn't tell the truth, right?
It wasn't intentional, but that's the way it worked out.
You mean somebody drugged you and put you behind the wheel of a car, Mr. Griffin?
No.
You mean at the time that you made the statements to the court, you intended to keep your promise?
Yes.
But some little men that play in your head, you know, they forced you to get behind the wheel of a car and break your promise.
I had to go to work. I had no other way to get there. I have kids to take care of.
You have children to take care of. Do you live with your children?
No.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
6 and 7.
And you pay child support, sir?
Yep.
How much child support do you pay?
$77 a week.
They take it out of your salary?
Yep.
When you were in jail for 5 months on work release, how much did they take out of your salary for child support?
They didn't, but...
Right. So for 5 months, your kids sort of went on hiatus.
No. I was out every day. I paid myself. I gave money to my children's mom.
How much did you give her?
Probably $2,000, $3,000.
You believe that?
I don't know.
Mr. Griffin, there is no question that Miss Whitmer bailed you out so that you could get out. And then she gave you some more money. How much more money did she give you, Mr. Griffin?
$600 maybe.
How much?
$390.
And what was that for, Miss Whitmer?
To help him reinstate his license.
And how did that come about that he needed another $390?
March 3rd, he came to my job. He was dropped off, and he asked me if I would drive him to go to this insurance company to reinstate it.
What did you go to her for?
Because she offered to pay it for me.
When had you called her to tell her you were coming, and could she make a gift to you of this $390? When had you called her?
She'd known for months that
Don't tell me what she knew. I asked you when you called her, because you wouldn't have gone there, sir.
That morning.
Did he call you that morning?
I believe so that morning, but I didn't know he was coming to my job.
What did he say when he called you in the morning?
That he was wanting to go take his test and just point like that, but he didn't say he was being dropped off to go and reinstate it.
He didn't say anything about money?
Not that I recall, no.
When you got there, Mr. Griffin, to her job, she drove you to pay this money?
Yeah, but to say that I just came there and out of the blue sprung up, I need some money when we're at the insurance company, that's not the way it happened.
Well, tell me how it happened, Mr. Griffin.
She knew I didn't have all the money. I called her and told her.
What did you call her and tell her for?
Because she was willing to help me pay it.
No. Why did you call her and tell her?
Because I needed more money.
Why didn't you get another job?
Why didn't I get another job?
That was my question.
I didn't need another job.
You did need another job if you didn't have more money.
I didn't need another job because she was willing to pay for it.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money? She's closer to you. You made 2 babies with her.
Because she has my 2 sons, she needs whatever that she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Who do you live with?
I take care of my 2 sons and a sick mom of mine.
Just a second. You have 2 children?
2 boys.
How old are they?
5 and 2.
Mr. Griffin, are you a lowlife?
No way.
Yes, you are. Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Let me tell you why you're a lowlife. Because you just said to me, Mr. Griffin, the mother of my 2 children needs all the money that she can get because she takes care of my 2 children.
What's wrong
So
with
that's
that?
why I'm not calling her. Why do you think, sir, that this young lady who has 2 children needs money any less than the mother of your 2 children?
Because she was always willing to give it to me.
You're a lowlife.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
And a taker. And I don't see what she sees in you, sir. Certainly it's very well hidden to me. But you owe her $1,337 because she bailed you out. Next time, if you need money, Mr. Griffin, get another job. You're supposed to do the right thing, and you're not supposed to take advantage of people. Do I make myself clear, sir?
Sure.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess he was planning on using me to get out. That was his whole purpose.
I wouldn't say it like that, but if somebody's willing to give me something, I'm willing to take it.
He's never going to change. That's him.
I don't have any feelings, but we'll always be cool. You know?
Ben Aarons is suing 18-year-old college football player Brian Payton for beating him up during a night of heavy drinking. Adam Spear has a separate lawsuit against Ben Aarons for vandalism to his car.
Yeah, this is case number 50 on the calendar, the matter of Aarons versus Payton. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. You folks have a seat, please.
All right, Mr. Aarons, it is your claim that Mr. Payton assaulted you.
Correct.
There is sort of a companion case here that I will address either during this case or at some point immediately after, involving a Mr. Spear. Is that you?
That's correct.
And you weren't actually there during the course of this whole event, but you allege your car got damaged by Mr. while he was drunk. When did this assault take place, sir?
The assault itself occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was with my friends.
I need a date, sir.
December 18th. At 3 in the morning.
12/18/04.
Correct.
Where were you?
I was in the parking lot of the Hilton Hotel, located in Corvallis, Oregon.
What were you doing there?
My friend had a party right next door. It was his birthday party.
And what time had you arrived at the party?
10 o'clock.
How many people were there?
Roughly 8.
A lot of drinking.
Yes, we were all over 21.
I didn't ask how old you were. I said there was a lot of
Yes, there
drinking.
was a lot of drinking.
What were you drinking then?
I was drinking Miller Lite.
Nothing other than beer.
Correct.
And what happens?
We were outside, out front. There's a fence separating his house and the parking lot. And we were out front there. I was with my friends, Jason. Well, they're actually acquaintances. About 3 girls came out of the Hilton Hotel. At that point, we called over to them to come over and talk to us. So they came over to where we were.
What did you say to them?
I don't exactly remember exactly what we said, but we said, hi, you know, what's going on tonight? What are you guys doing at the Hilton? At that point, approximately 3 to 4 men came out of the hotel and immediately came over to where we were. Mr. Payton targeted me specifically, and he started going after me. I could tell he wanted to fight. He was very aggressive towards me.
Well, tell me what he did, sir.
He said as soon as he came out of the hotel, he said that he saw me looking at him and saluting in a Hitler-like way. I don't know what he was talking about.
Do you know what he's talking about, Mr. Payton?
I know exactly what he's talking about.
What is he talking about, Mr. Payton?
When I walked out of the hotel, we walked over to the young ladies, and they seemed upset, so I walked over and asked him to stop, and he was on the other side of the fence, and he gave me one of those.
Can I interject at this point?
What were you doing at the Hilton Hotel that evening?
The dorms were closed at our university, and I was staying there for a school function.
Okay. And what time had you started drinking that night?
I'm 18 now, I didn't drink.
Okay, Ben. So you're outside.
And I'm speaking with my friends. It becomes a verbal altercation at that point. So I came over to the fence.
So you jumped over the fence?
Correct, yes.
Why didn't you just go home like you were planning to go?
I wasn't planning on going home that night.
Well, what were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just out front of his house so that we didn't wake up his friends.
I don't understand that, Ben. You were outside because you were making too much noise to be inside?
That would be correct, yes. At that point, I explained to him what I was doing.
What did you mean you explained to him? What does that mean, I explained to him?
I told him, I repeated the motion of this. I told him that's the only thing I could have possibly done at that point when he came outside. I told him that. He said, okay, that's all right. And then we shook hands. We exchanged names. We asked them what they were doing, and they said they were going to go and get beer and food. So they got in their car, and they took off. They came back about 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, and we were still outside.
What were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just sitting on the curb. There's a curb. We were just sitting there. We were just talking amongst ourselves.
Go ahead.
The 3 girls that were with them, I believe they went straight into the hotel, or they went
they didn't want to
entrance.
talk to you anymore.
I don't know if they didn't want to talk to us anymore, or if they were just
They
going
didn't
back.
want to talk to you anymore. They went right inside.
They went inside.
Go ahead.
Peyton and his friends, they stayed with us out there, and we talked. And at that point, there became a verbal altercation between Mr. Peyton and one of the witnesses, Brown. And I believe it was over food. I believe he asked them if they brought him any food back.
Where is Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown is unable to come.
So he's not a witness?
Okay.
Because
no.
he's not here.
Okay.
So Mr. Brown, one of your friends, asked Mr. Payton...
Well, he wasn't my friend, he was my acquaintance. Correct.
On your curb.
Yes.
Asked Mr. Payton how come they didn't bring him back any food.
Yes.
You think that was because Mr. Brown maybe had a little too much to drink?
Possibly, yes.
Keep going.
So at that point, there was a verbal altercation between him and Mr. Payton, and I believe Jason might have gotten involved in it a little bit. At that point, I got up and I got in between them, and I pushed them aside, and then I'm not sure exactly what he did. That's about where my memory ends. Shortly after that point, it was because he had struck me to the face. I received a massive concussion. I have photos here if you'd like at this time. You can take a look at that. I fell back, I hit the concrete. I lost about 1.5 pints of blood. You can see my cheek there. It was possibly dislocated.
Looked like you fell back really hard.
Yes. At that point, I had a concussion. I do not remember anything from that point
Good.
on.
Now, Brian.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Like you said, the young ladies did come out the...
Why don't we start with the young lady?
Oh, okay, then.
Because you weren't there. The young lady was there first. Is
Can I
that right?
interject at this point?
No.
Okay.
You came out at some point of the Hilton Hotel.
Yes. Ben and his friends were yelling at us, and...
What were they yelling?
To come over and, like, what were our names, and we could tell that they were very intoxicated. And then the boys came out and were like, these guys won't leave us alone. They keep yelling at us, and they're very intoxicated. And so I believe that Brian asked them to leave us alone.
Did you go out with Brian and his friends for some food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be a yes.
Yes.
What happened when you came back?
We got out of the car, and they started yelling and stuff like that, and then Ben started beating the car. And the car alarm...
Whose car was it?
Your
Honor. Your car. He started beating with what? With his fists?
Mm-hmm. And the car alarm was going off. All of us actually asked him numerous times to stop it, and he wouldn't. Brian went up to him to get him to stop, and Ben turned around really fast, and his fist came up, and so Brian obviously felt threatened if he was beating the car this much, and so Brian hit him, and he fell back on the ground and hit his head.
Okay. The police were called?
Yes.
You have the police report?
I have the police report, and
I'd like
is
to
there
see it,
something I
please.
could say? The police interviewed all the witnesses.
I'd like to see both police reports, and Ben, I can read. You don't have to tell me what it says.
Can I just point one out thing, though, please?
Yes?
They interviewed all the witnesses there, and they took down their names. Her name's nowhere in the police report. I'd like
Well,
that.
it may not be in the police report, but did they take down the names of the 3 girls who were...
No, they did not.
Well, so?
I don't recognize her at all. I'm not sure who she is. They interviewed everyone who was there at the time
Listen
of the incident.
to me. You were so blind drunk, not a question in my mind, that you wouldn't know her if she came up and bit you in the behind. You said there were 3 girls that came out. It's my job to ascertain who tells the truth and who lies. She told a very cogent story. There is no reason to say that she's lying about being one of the 3 girls that came out that night that spoke to you.
Why didn't the police interview her then?
I have no idea, sir. I have enough trouble figuring out why I'm here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were drinking.
In a night of partying, he was assaulted by college football player Brian Payton. Brian says Ben was drunk and out of control. In a separate lawsuit, Adam Spear is suing Ben Aarons for denting his car.
How did you get the injuries to your hands, sir? How did you get the injuries?
I didn't have any injuries on my hands.
I noted that Mr. Aarons had injuries to both of his hands. He had abrasions and red marks on his fingers that were consistent with him striking something.
This is the photograph of the injury to my hands. This is the dent that my hands allegedly
that's
created.
One hand. I'll take a look at it. Absolutely.
If you look in the report, it says injuries to both hands.
Right.
If there is injury to both hands, you would see it. The only thing that photo shows is a red strap mark from where I was strapped into the stretcher. You can see that.
No. Police officer noted, sir, that there were massive dents on a car. That would be Mr. Spear's car. And the police officer said to you, did you strike that car? And you said, I don't remember. That was the answer that you gave to the police.
Correct.
Police also said that in addition to beer, you drank liquor.
Yes.
That's what you told the police.
Okay, yes.
You didn't remember to tell me that.
I'm sorry.
Police officer also noted that you and your friends were all drunk, right?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Could I interject with one more thing, please? I have a medical report from when I was there. They did a full body analysis on me. There's nothing in there about any injury to my hands. The only thing I could have imagined that he would have seen is I have a medical injury.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You hit his car. You were drunk, and you fisted his car. You may not remember it, but that's what you did. That's what happens when you drink too much. Ben?
Allegedly, yes.
That's what happens when you drink too much, sir. You act goofy and stupid. You try to pick up girls that don't want to have anything to do with you. You hang around where you shouldn't be hanging around outside. And you act goofy and stupid. And you get yourself into trouble when you drink too much. Isn't that right?
Not entirely, no.
Well, you were acting goofy and stupid, too, according to the police report. All of his friends were drunk.
Oh, does it specify my name in there?
Were you at the party?
Yes, I was.
And you weren't drunk.
They didn't take individual
I
statements.
didn't ask you that question, sir. I said...
I was drinking, but I was not drunk, Your Honor. I'm here for a reason. I'm not his friend. I met him that night.
Good.
I'm here because I can remember things. Everybody else there was too wasted.
Why? She wasn't wasted.
Huh? I'm talking at
This
the
young,
party
just
that we
listen.
were there.
This young lady isn't wasted, sir.
And you know what? She also wasn't there at the moment of the assault.
Step up. Step up. Go ahead.
Kind of twisted that around a little bit. I'm not denying that he hit any car. I
Good.
didn't.
So let's start
Okay,
there.
let's start
Let's
there.
start there. He hit the car.
I did not see.
So you weren't there the entire time?
No, I was outside most of the time. I was inside for maybe 3 minutes the whole time.
He was there when I actually got hit. And
I was there and witnessed the assault.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Okay.
Take your hands off your hips.
We were standing there having drinks. His friends and him among us had beer. They brought a case of beer. We were drinking, him included. He, Mr. Payton, was pretty hot-headed the whole time. The moment he came up, he started picking a fight with me and Brown, who's not here today. I can quote him on, you guys are pretty stupid. I don't want to hang out with you guys. I don't want to sit here and drink with you. I'm going back to my hotel. I can kick 2 of your guys' right now. That set me, who's pretty hot-headed, if you can't tell, and Brown off. We kind of got up in his face, and he did the same. Some words were said. That's when Ben said he came up and tried to break up the thing. He went back to the hotel for a while with the girls. We still hung out with his 2 other friends. He came back out. And
Hands off your hips.
all right. He came back out. Some more words were said. Ben, at the time, was sitting on the curb drinking a beer. He stood up. Ben wasn't even looking at him. We were all talking. He walked over to Ben and cheap-shotted Ben in the jaw.
So after they left, instead of going back to the house, you stayed in the parking lot. You remember why?
It's a place to sit. We were there already. I can just stay where I want, I believe. It's not against the law.
I love it when it all comes together. Just let them talk. Right?
That's what you do best.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Payton.
Yes.
Here's your problem, sir. Your problem is the statement that you made to the police. And the sum and substance of that statement was that he was loud and obnoxious and drunk.
Yes.
And he kept hitting on Mr. Spears' car.
Correct.
And you told him to stop. And he walked away, and he came back, and he hit the car again. And then you hit him.
That's basically, yes, what happened. I didn't intentionally walk to him to hit him. Like, I came back around the vehicle because I walked through the back of the vehicle towards the Hilton.
Whatever. Let me tell you what you said to the police,
Okay.
Mr. Payton. You said to the police, I told him to knock it off. Mr. Payton said that he started to walk away twice, and each time Mr. Aarons began striking the vehicle again. Mr. Payton said that he told Mr. Aarons one last time to quit striking the vehicle, and when he failed to stop, he hit him.
Yeah.
I asked Mr. Payton how many times he hit Mr. Aarons, and he said twice. And that you struck him both times in the face.
Yes.
And you said you were shocked that he fell down because you didn't think you'd hit him that hard. Well, but he was drunk.
Yeah.
Now you can stand up. I'm going to hear this other case. You want to get that folder now because I don't have to hear it twice. I've just heard the facts of the case. This is Spear against Aarons.
Case number 49.
Very good. You have an estimate for the damage to your car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Would you like the court fees that it's been costing me?
No, just the damage to the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's Mr. Norris? Is he a friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell you what Mr. Norris told the police. It says in the police report, this is the interview. Mr. Norris stated that after Mr. Payton told Mr. Arans 3 different times to stop hitting the car, he walked up and struck him in the face.
Yeah, I'm not denying that I hit him.
You can't do that. Brian, you can't do that. Now, do you have any unreal, sir?
Yes, sir. Or ma'am.
Hand them up. These are all unreimbursed medical bills, is that right?
Correct.
You had no insurance.
My insurance was denied, yes, no insurance.
You go to school full time?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. You have a job?
No, ma'am.
You can't hit somebody because they're damaging property. He has over $5,000 in unreimbursed medical bills. You have to take care of that. I say this to you, sir, that I think you behaved badly that night, but for the fact that this young man had no right to hit you, believe me, you would leave here today without a judgment. But the law is clear. You cannot defend somebody else's property with physical violence. So I'm awarding you your judgment of $5,000. You are entitled to that. On your claim, I'm awarding you a judgment against Mr. Arans for $1,500 so that you can fix your car. Anything you want to say to me?
I have right here a list of all the instances where people were hit by OSU football players in the past several months here. And I believe that this shows that there's a lot of animosity from athletes who are out of line and out of control. This happened at 3 a.m. past curfew.
Listen to me, sir. I have no particular axe to grind. I don't even like athletes. What I don't like are young people who get so drunk that they can't remember what's happened. According to the police, according to the doctor, you reeked of alcohol, you had no memory of the assault because you were drunk. Because if you had had any kind of negative vibes with them during the course of the evening, and if you were sober, I can't believe you would be stupid enough to sit in the parking lot of the hotel where they were staying, not you. That's what you keep wanting to answer me, sir, and I'm telling you, that's what happens when you're drunk and stupid. Bad things happen. That doesn't mean he had the right to assault you. It just means that your actions, your purposeful actions in consuming too much alcohol was the proximate cause of all of these events that spiraled out of control that night. And if that's the way you can consume your alcohol, I suggest to you that you don't drink anymore. This case is over. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 108 on the calendar in the matter of Hayes versus Cheney. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
How old are you, Miss Hayes?
I'm 24.
How many children do you have?
Just one.
What do you do for a living?
I bartend.
Do you have any other source of income other than from your bartending?
No.
Ever receive any supplements from the state?
Right now I get medical for my child, and I do receive food assistance too.
Your complaint is that a little over a year ago, you made an arrangement with Mr. Cheney, who is the father of your daughter, that in lieu of child support, he would furnish you with a car.
Right.
The car would remain in his name until it was paid off, and he would pay $200 a month towards the car instead of giving you money for child support.
Correct.
And that was just fine for a year, and then car was taken from the front of your house. You thought it was Mr. Cheney who took that car. You reported it stolen to the police. That car was subsequently found. Mr. Cheney decided, I don't want this aggravation. I'd rather give her the child support. So he turned the car in. According to him, he's now sending you $200 a month in child support. So he doesn't want to be bothered with the car business anymore. And you want the value of the car, and you say that you put in a substantial amount of money into the car.
Correct.
Things like rims.
Actually, the rims and tires on the car, were not on it when it was stolen, so that wouldn't be part of it. But the stereo system and other
Window
things on the
tints.
car. Yeah.
Why did you need window tints?
Because it was a nice new car, and I had it, and with my income tax return, I put some money into my car.
You're a single mother raising a child on tips and wages from being a bartender. And are you telling me that you took that money and instead of putting it in a college fund for your daughter, you tinted the windows on your car and
I
you
sure
upgraded
did.
the stereo? You sure did. Your priorities are a little screwed up.
At that time, I wasn't receiving any assistance, and I was doing just fine.
I don't care whether you were receiving any assistance or not. How much money do you have put away for your daughter for college?
None.
And when you receive Medicaid and when you receive food stamps, you're receiving welfare. And before I would put money into tinting my windows in my car, I would put money towards my child's future. That's what a grown-up does. I just want to mention that, madam, because I was actually appalled at that piece of your complaint when you say you want that money back from him because he repossessed the car and sold it after you had put in this window tints and stereo system and fancy rims on the car. And so he owes you $4,000. Now, Mr. Cheney.
Yes.
Why did you take the car back?
I didn't take the car back. It was reported stolen. I found it 2 blocks from her house, sitting in an apartment complex, which I did some checking around and I got proof that the car was there and that she's been in and out of those apartment complexes many times while it was there. It was given back to me by a police officer.
Because the car was in your name?
The car was in my name. I took it back to the car lot because I didn't want no problems. She's trying to put me in jail all the time. I didn't want no problems with it.
Fine. You used the car for a year?
I did. If I wanted to put him in jail, Your Honor, he would be in prison right now.
You used the car for a year?
I did.
How much do you think that it would cost if you leased a car for a year?
I have no idea.
How much is he paying you now in child support?
He has paid me $200 for the last 2 months. But I'm currently
Who is this person?
This is my girlfriend.
Tell her to keep her mouth shut. Because you two have a child together, and she's not supposed to exacerbate any bad feeling that may exist between the two of you.
She's been
making it worse.
In court, to say, and she should have as little to say as possible, because that's not going to be a good thing. You two have to learn how to get along together, because you made a child together.
There's a 2-year restraining order. I had no permission whatsoever to talk to this female for 2 years. She is the communicator by court.
He was talking to me up until I don't know what happened, and she decided that she didn't want that anymore, and now she's been the communicator, and she makes things up between the two of us and causes more
Very bad. That's very unfortunate. Who got a restraining order against whom?
The state actually pressed it for a no-contact order because of the domestic violence that we had.
Who supervises visitation?
No one supervises visitation. She was picking up for a while our daughter and bringing him to him for the weekend, and then we would meet and I'd pick her up.
Oh,
he stopped seeing her about 8 months ago, though.
No, I didn't stop seeing her.
Or not 8 months ago.
She quit letting me see her. She said, "You're not seeing your child again until we're done with court." This court right here today. First it was, "You better start paying me payments." Pay her payments. Nope, you can't have her. Now we're going to court. Oh, no, not till court's over. So I'm paying. I haven't even seen my child in like 4 months.
Do you have an order of visitation?
I don't think so.
Well, go and get one. If you don't have an order of visitation, then you see your child whenever she says you can. If you have an order of visitation, sir, that's fixed by a court, you will see your child whenever the court tells you you can see your child. Do you understand the difference?
Yes, I do.
Well, then you got to get off your duff and go into court and file for an order of visitation.
Well, I was trying to do it out of court.
Well, that's stupid.
Your Honor, I've never told him he couldn't see his daughter.
Just a second. That's stupid.
That's stupid.
You pick yourself up and you go to the local domestic relations court or the family court, wherever you live, and you file a petition to see your child, whatever. And she just says, I told him he could see her whenever.
She don't
Listen
bring her,
to me.
then I can't see her.
Listen to me. That's not up to her. Go. If somebody told me I couldn't see my child, I wouldn't wait 4 months to go to court. She knew how to go to court to get an order of support, right?
Right.
You do have an order of support.
Yes, we do.
$200.
That's not court ordered.
It's not court ordered.
That's not. I'm in the process right now of getting back into the court ordered amount, which is $280 a month.
It's ordered that I pay $280 a month already. We had a verbal agreement outside of it to pay $200 a month. So.
No, to pay
for the car.
To pay for the car.
Now I'm in the process of getting the $280 a month again.
Very good. So you'll get your $280 a month. Good. I don't know what you want.
What I want basically is I put all this money into this car.
That was stupid.
It was a bad decision.
Stupid.
Bad
Who told you? Listen to me. Who told you to tint the wheels, buy rims, buy a stereo, tint the whatever? What did I say? Tint the rims?
You said tint the wheels, but
tint the wheels. Whatever you do, madam, that's your prerogative. I can really understand why he doesn't want to have anything to do with you other than paying child support and picking up the child because clearly you don't like each other. You don't get that money back.
Have you seen the contract?
What? I don't care. Listen to me.
He agrees in the contract to pay me the money that he owes me if the contract was ever broken, that I had into the car. He agreed to that, so.
She willingly gave up the car by reporting it stolen. Pretty much
I had to report it stolen. It was stolen from my house.
Pretty much set me up.
If I wanted to send him to prison, he tried to kill me.
I
I have police reports. I could have.
Saying that she was.
Then I have a question for you, Miss Hayes, because it always strikes me that women can be so foolish. If he tried to kill you, and if you are afraid of him.
I'm not afraid of him.
Well, I would be afraid of somebody who tried to kill me, Miss Hayes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your daughter.
Her child, Jason Cheney, owes for illegally repossessing her car. Diana says Jason's actions are hurting their daughter.
Miss Hayes, I would be afraid of anybody who tried to kill me, especially someone with whom I had a relationship. I don't need you for anything. Okay. I certainly wouldn't put myself in a position where I had any kind of business relationship with them. Listen to me, any kind of business relationship with them. There has to be a reason for that. Now, one of the reasons for that might be, you see, if he's giving you $280 a month, you could purchase your own car. However, if he's giving you $280 a month, the other assistance that you might be getting from the state, including the Medicaid and the food stamps, would be taken away. So, right?
Yes,
Yes,
no problem
sure.
with that.
So listen to me. So this way, you got the Medicaid, you got the food stamps, and you got your car. So if you think about it...
That was reported. That was part of my income. His $200 a month toward my car was part of my income. Reported. It still wasn't enough, so...
Interesting. So then I don't understand why somebody who was so fearful of somebody's bad temper...
He wasn't even making the payments.
Listen to me. I don't understand why someone who was so fearful of somebody's bad temper would enter into any kind of business relationship.
I was already
without anything... What?
I was already into it before then. I was already into this. I was already into this agreement. This was already... going on before.
Then say, here's your car back. I don't want it.
This car this much money.
Here's your car back. I don't want your car. I want you to pay me $280 a month. You pay it through the court. You come and visit every other week or every week, just as the court is going to tell you to do. And that's what we do. You don't have a convoluted business arrangement. In any event, I don't see where he owes you $4,000, Miss Hayes.
To rent a car.
What?
I no longer have use of a car that I put $4,000 into. I no longer have use of this car. Do you pay $4,000 to rent a car? No, you paid $4,000 to buy a car, not rent a car. Am I wrong?
She got her use out of the car.
Listen to me.
I used the car for a little over a year. It was a good car. I would have drove it for 5 more years. I bought that car.
He doesn't want any part of you, and you don't want any part of him. Now take the money that he's giving you and go and put it towards a car, which is exactly what you did before.
She already did.
I am doing now.
Perfect. Did you buy a car?
I'm paying.
You're paying it off, which is exactly what you were doing before. You were paying it off with his money.
No, my money. My child support money.
No.
My money.
No, that's not your money. That's your daughter's money.
Okay, well, my daughter needs me to feed her and put her through.
Right.
Right, so I have to get to and from school or work, right?
Right.
Okay, so...
But in a car that doesn't have tinted windows. Goodbye, Miss Hayes.
Parties are excused when they step out. Anderson versus Miller. Step forward.
Lori Anderson is suing her former co-worker, Tynesha Miller, for unpaid loans to pay her rent and bills. Lori says instead of paying her back, Tynesha had plastic surgery.
Miss Anderson, Miss Miller was a former friend of yours.
Yes.
And a co-worker.
Yes.
And it is your claim that you made 2 loans to her?
Yes.
And she hasn't paid you back. And Miss Miller says you were a real nice gal, real good-natured person, and you made gifts to her at a time when she needed money. That's her defense. Is that right?
Yes.
How long, Miss Miller, had you been friendly with Miss Anderson?
Probably 2 weeks after she started working.
And when was that?
December, January, I'm not exactly sure.
December of '03.
And what kind of business are you in?
I worked at a surgery center. I did the scheduling there.
And you?
I'm the surgery triage coordinator.
And when was the first loan that you made, Miss Anderson?
It was on April 14th, 2004.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that loan, Miss Miller. Or that money that she gave you.
Okay. I was on the phone, and she overheard the conversation, and it was...
Well, what was the conversation about?
My conversation was about my gas had got turned off, and she overheard the conversation.
Why was your gas turned off? For non-payment of the bill?
Yes.
How much do you make a year?
I believe it's like $33,000.
So what were you spending your money on?
My children and paying my bills.
How many children do you have?
4.
Who else lives in your home?
Just the children and myself.
Where's their father?
I guess he's around.
Does he pay your support?
We only get a check maybe once a year when he files his taxes, and that's it.
Your Honor, if I can just interrupt, there are 4 different fathers.
Lori Anderson says former co-worker Tynesha Miller owes for a series of unpaid loans. Lori says Tynesha played on her sympathy.
Okay, so your gas was being shut off.
And she volunteered that.
Well, tell me what she said.
Well, she came to me and said, I'm your friend. You know, I love you and your children. I want to help. At which point in time, I told her no. That was it was a lot of money, and the gas bill was high, $780. So she was like, let me do this. This is something that I want to do. I can't go home and go to sleep tonight knowing that your gas is cut off. It's cold and...
Okay. Very nice lady. Nice lady.
Right.
When was the next time you took money from Miss Anderson?
I believe it was 04.
September of 04.
Had she paid you any of the $780 back?
No, ma'am. And in the midst of this time, there was also 2 other occasions I had given Miss Miller money in the amount of $80 both times.
Did she say she would pay you back?
Yes, she did.
That
It was always in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks would come in the next 2 weeks.
What was the money for in September?
It was for her rent, Your Honor. She didn't pay her rent. She was going to be evicted from her apartment, and I love her children. We were friends. I trusted her. Even though she hadn't paid me the $780, I still couldn't go home in good conscience knowing that she was going to be evicted from her apartment. So I did write her a check in the amount of $893, which she did cash.
So far, is that correct?
Yes.
What arrangements did you have with her for repayment of all this money?
Just, I will pay you back in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. After the check in September, we were discussing it. She said, Lori, I know I haven't paid you back the money. I'm going to get, a pretty good income tax check this year, and I'll pay you back with the income tax check. And I said, that's fine, Tanisha. So in February, she decided that she was going to have some plastic surgery done. Had a cabaret party, spent over $2,000 to have this party, and I still didn't get my money.
Just a second. What kind of cabaret party?
It's just a cabaret that you throw and you raise money.
For what?
People throw cabarets and they raise money just for whatever reason.
What were you?
Cosmetic surgery.
Why didn't you give her back the money?
She didn't want the money. I offered. That's what she's leaving out. I have offered, and she denied. I'm not going to take your money. I told
When did you offer her the money?
Around income tax time.
You mean after this cabaret party?
No, the cabaret came after income tax time. So I offered the money before the cabaret.
Your Honor, she offered to write me a $500 check.
And what did you say?
And I'm like, okay. And the day progressed, no check. And the week progressed, no check. And then we stopped speaking. I was hanging around with some people she didn't like. We stopped speaking. I asked her for the money. She said, you'll have your money by Tuesday. Well, Tuesday's come and gone, about 45 Tuesdays from then, and I still haven't got my money. And then, Your Honor, to top it off, my birthday, we made plans to go out on my birthday, which was fine. She was going to pay for it, pay for my birthday cake. I'm like,
when was this?
May 13th is my birthday.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were still speaking?
We were still speaking. We were still co-workers. Yes, we did. We worked very closely together. I was still trying to be a friend, be the kind of person that I needed to be. And on my birthday, she's like, I'm going to order you a cake. We're going to go out. I'm going to pay for it. I'm like, you don't have to pay for my cake. I can pay for my cake. So the day before my birthday, she came to me and she said, Lori, I don't have the money to pay for your birthday cake. Can I borrow the money from you? So me, being the person I am, I gave her the money for my birthday cake. The next day, she brought my birthday cake to work. Come to find out, one of our other coworkers had also given her the money for my birthday cake. To top it off, my husband and I paid for her dinner that night also.
I don't see anything funny about it.
She's making it sound worse than what it really is.
No, this is the type of person.
Just
a minute, it sounds pretty bad to me. You know, a lady who's earning $33,000 a year and getting some other support for her children from their father, whether it's from income tax return from one father and some other sporadic money from another father, raising 4 kids is expensive, but when you have a friend who is willing to help you over some rough spots, I think that that's terrific. And I would be much more sympathetic with you in your position as a single mother of 4 children if you didn't spend $2,000 to have a cabaret party, if you had a little more priority about what you were going to do with your money. Do you understand what I'm saying, Miss Miller?
Yes, I do.
Because you're supposed to act mature if you have 4 children. You're supposed to be mature if you have 4 children. You're not supposed to be foolish. You're not supposed to say, well, maybe I'll get, you know, I don't know what kind of cosmetic surgery you want. Did you want bigger chest, little chest, bigger behind, smaller behind? Who knows? Who cares? First, you take care of your responsibility. And first, you take care of your debts. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,673. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues.
Been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss LaPearl, you rented an apartment to Miss Morgan. She was your tenant for a little over a year.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she gave you a 30-day notice. She moved out, and you want her to pay for all of your expenses that you incurred in finding a new tenant, and also damages to the apartment that you claim that she did before she moved out, and rent. Miss Morgan says that she gave you 30 days notice, that she left the apartment in fine condition, and she is counterclaiming because she says you filed charges against her for either burglary or trespass, and they were false charges. You never appeared at the hearing. Forced to appear. I think she had to come back from Europe in order to appear, and she wants you to pay her expenses. Now, when you first rented to her, did you have her sign a lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. What kind of premises is this, Miss LaPearl?
It's a 2-family house.
Okay. Who printed up this lease?
This is a pre-made lease.
Well, somebody typed in these things.
I have a secretary that does that for me.
Okay.
And in the back it says...
Just a second. All right. She signed this lease on
October 1st.
October 1st, 2003, and the lease was for 12 months.
No, the first time it was 10 months. It was from October till the end of July.
Okay,
of
10 months.
2004, yes.
10 months. And then you typed in, or your secretary typed in,
yes,
this lease will automatically renew for an additional 12 months unless you notify each other 30 days. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that. I know you would like to do that, but you can't do that. At the end of the lease, if you don't choose to renew it, the tenant becomes a month-to-month tenant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I hear
Good.
what you're saying.
Perfect. Now, when did she move in?
October 1st of 2003.
And she lived there for how long?
She lived there from October 2003 until March of 2005.
Had she paid her rent on time?
Yes, she did.
Had you ever had occasion to try to have her evicted for any reason?
No.
What happened in March of 2005?
I was in Israel visiting my mom, and when on my return, I found out that Miss Morgan entered my house without permission, without anybody being in there, opened the porch door, proceeded to the kitchen to leave a letter in my house, which my daughter found out. This is my daughter.
What did the letter say?
The letter basically said that she's giving me 30 days notice.
Okay. Step up. Your last name is?
LaPearl.
How old are you?
18.
Were you at home when your mother was in Israel?
I was not. I was also away. I was in Mexico.
Who was home?
Well, the thing that happened was that I was supposed to come home the day before, but due to a snowstorm, I couldn't come home. And my dog needed to be feeded. So I called my neighbor and asked her to unlock the house.
Who's the neighbor?
My friend Sarah.
So your friend Sarah was telephoned on what day?
On February 28th.
Well, who was taking care of your dog while you were in Mexico?
My brother, but he had to work that day, and it was an unplanned.
When did you get home?
I arrived home that same day that I'd asked my neighbor to come and feed my dog.
Okay. Now, what did you find, Miss LaPearl, when you came home? Something on the table?
Yes.
What did you find on the table?
I found a letter addressed to my mother.
Everything else was in place?
It seemed that way, Your Honor.
Now, when you found this letter, did you open it?
Yes.
And what did the letter say?
It was a letter from Miss Morgan saying that she had left 30 days' notice and that she had stopped by and left this letter in our home.
It said she stopped by and left the letter in your home? Is that what the letter said? Give me see the letter.
No, that's not what the letters say. The
Then
letter
I'll
said-
see the letter. No, of course it didn't say she stopped by and left the letter in your home. This letter is dated February 28, 2005, and it says, Sierra, this is to notify you that I will be returning to you the keys of the house at 22 Bright Street, first floor, on the 31st of March. Thank you, Laura Morgan. I'm bringing this letter in person to you just to make sure you get it on the 28th of February. And it's signed you. Okay. Now, Miss Morgan, when you got to the house on February 28th, there was no one home?
Your Honor, there was no one home.
Okay, so what did you do?
I didn't leave it on the table. I opened the porch, and there was a dog.
Is it an enclosed porch?
Yes, it is an enclosed porch.
I see.
And there was a dog there. So I very be careful because I didn't want the dog to get into the house. And I just slide my hand, and I put the letter right on the side, on the chair. I didn't put a feet in the house.
I don't care whether you did or whether
Yes.
you didn't.
Oh, I just put the
Hey, listen
letter.
to me.
Yes.
I don't care whether you did or whether you didn't. So you put the letter inside the house.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
So now you've got your 30 days notice, Miss LaPearl.
Yes.
You're not entitled to any more than that. She's a month-to-month tenant. I don't care what you put in the lease. It's illegal. So what are you suing her for?
First, I was suing her for 1 month rent.
She gave you 30 days notice.
You know, Your Honor, she was the one that said, well, you know, I like this list because it's automatically renews, and she liked that.
Good. Fine.
Well,
She
it
gave you
doesn't
30
work.
days notice. Get over it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're full of baloney. It was vindictive. You were not violated in any way. Put your hand down. Outrageous. You are an outrageous lady.
And later to her tenant, Laura Morgan, owes for breaking a lease, damaging her apartment, and leaving behind trash. Laura is countersuing for a false police report.
Keep going.
Miss Morgan was smoking in the apartment. The apartment smelled like an ashtray. I have witnesses. My daughter was there to help me clean it. For 1 month, I was trying to get the smell out of the place, and I couldn't. It took us 3 times to shampoo the rugs and clean the walls to get rid of the smell. Beside that, I'm suing for stealing things from the basement. I had whole sets of garden tools. I had dishes in there, trays.
What makes you think that Miss Morgan took those things?
I have little incidents with this woman that make me feel like she's a totally dishonest person, you know.
Oh, stop it.
Okay.
Stop it.
I didn't see
Do you
it.
have any proof that she took anything from your house?
No. Proof to show that she left trash in the basement.
All right, let me see your proof that she left trash in the basement.
When she moved from France, she had boxes and boxes and boxes of things that she brought, and all of it was in the basement. You know, she was doing some kind of artwork. She had some sculptures.
Okay, so you
material
had
in
to either do or get somebody to remove these boxes.
Yes.
All right, so that's what you're talking about, the boxes.
The boxes and the trash. She left there empty bottles, plastic bottles, whatever.
So you had to get somebody,
Yes.
or you did yourself, get the bottles and the boxes out of the basement.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay,
I
good.
did
And
get
how much
them.
did that cost you?
$300.
Let me see the bill.
It's also for dumping fee.
When did you move out?
I moved out. It was on the 31st of March.
31st of March. This purported bill, which I question,
Yes.
is dated June 7th.
Yes.
You mean you let the stuff stay there until June?
Yes.
I don't believe you, Miss LaPearl. I don't know what you have a bee in your bonnet about. I want to know when you call. She has a counterclaim. And her counterclaim is that you filed these charges against her, which caused her to have, at least for the moment, a criminal record of trespass. I assume that you filed trespass. Do you have a police report that you filed? I'd like to see it.
Yes, I did. I think this is the one. We were to appear in court on
I didn't
April-
ask you a question yet. When did you file this complaint? When did you return from...
As soon as I found out about it, and I didn't find it right away because...
Just a second.
Okay.
When did you return from Israel?
I think it was March that I returned, the beginning of March.
When did you have a conversation with your mother about this letter?
When she returned from Israel.
Okay, so she returned shortly thereafter from Israel?
Yes.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with your mother when you gave her the letter.
I had just told her that when I came home that the letter was inside of the house, and I...
Did you tell her where you found it in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you tell her you found it in the house?
I found it on the kitchen table.
Now, who had you spoken to about the letter prior to telling your mother?
Nobody, Your Honor.
You spoke to nobody about the letter. Just listen to me very carefully. You spoke to nobody about the letter prior to telling your mother that you found it on the table. Is that what you're telling me?
I believe so, Your Honor.
That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
Now, after you had this conversation with your daughter,
yes,
did you discuss the letter with anyone?
Yes, I did.
Who?
Miss Morgan's friend, Rosa. The lady that brought her into the house, drove her into the house.
Just a second. Nobody could drive a car into your house.
Into the driveway, obviously.
Did you have a conversation with anyone else?
Not that I remember.
Then you went to the police and filed a criminal complaint.
Yes. A breaking of an entrance. Somebody violating my rights, breaking into my house, yes.
Listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
Maybe it was the neighbor who found the letter and put it on the kitchen table, who was there to feed your dog. Maybe it was your son who found the letter, who was feeding the dog on a regular basis while your daughter was in Mexico, who found the letter on the chair and put it on the kitchen table. You did not speak to either of the two people who had permission and authority to be in your house that day, who could very well have picked up this letter from where she says she left it and put it on the kitchen table. You didn't speak to those people. What you chose to do, despite the fact that you found, Miss LaPearl, nothing untoward in your house, nothing that your daughter found. The only thing she found was this letter,
yes,
giving you 30 days notice on February 28th because you were in Israel, your daughter was in Mexico, and she was trying to do the right thing. You went and you had a tenant who lived there for a very long time that you had no trouble with, according to you. You decided to go and file a criminal complaint against her.
I felt totally violated.
Oh,
Somebody
how did you feel violated? Did you feel violated when your daughter said, listen to me, you're full of baloney.
No,
Did
no,
you
no.
feel violated when your daughter told you that she had another stranger come into your house to feed your dog? It's not an answer. I want to tell you something, madam.
Yes.
You're full of baloney. You filed this complaint in the criminal courthouse April 4th. That's the date stamped on the criminal court complaint, which was 1 month later, after you came home. 1 month. And all it says in this criminal complaint was, if I can read it, breaking and entering.
Entering into my house.
I want to tell you something. You're responsible for whatever damages she incurred as a result of your filing this ridiculous complaint. It was vindictive. You were not violated in any way. And it's in all probability somebody who had permission to be in your house picked up the letter and put it on the kitchen table. Put your hand down. Outrageous. You are an outrageous lady. Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $1,000. Your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. I'm very thankful to Judge Judy.
I'm happy to get rid of her, so it's fine.
Miss Morgan had actually admitted to actually entering our house.
Her telling me that I broke an entry when I just gave her a month's notice is totally unfair and ridiculous.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Các bạn thân mến, bài học của chúng ta ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục với bài số 53, phân số và các phép chia của số tự nhiên. Chúng ta sẽ cùng chuyển sang phần thứ 3, đó là phần luyện tập. Bài đầu tiên đó chúng ta sẽ cùng thực hiện bài luyện tập số 1, phần A. Yêu cầu các bạn đó là viết thương của mỗi phép chia sau dưới dạng phân số: A 21/5, B 30/343, C 61/69 và D 17/100. Chúng ta sẽ cùng hoàn thành phản B A như sau: 21/25. Kết quả viết dưới dạng phân số. Số bị chia chính là tử số. Số chia là mẫu số. Tiếp tục phần B. Tiếp tục phép tính thứ hai, 30/43. Ta được 30 phần 43. 61 chia 69. Ta bằng như sau, bằng 61 phần 69. Đây là viết dưới dạng phân số này, và đây là phép chia. Tiếp tục 17 chia cho 100. Tử số là số bị chia, mẫu số số chia. Các bạn thân mến, vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong phần A với yêu cầu đó là viết phép tính thành viết thương của các phép tính này thành một phân số. Vậy thì đa phần các bạn chú ý nhé, đa phần trong cái phép chia mà không chia hết ý, thì chúng ta hay viết thành một phân số như thế này đấy các bạn ạ. Các bạn thân mến, bài học của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đến đây là hết rồi. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những bài học sau.